All right, they are getting prepped for the jury. Yeah, hello. Not much of an intro. I set it up for 8:45 because jury meets up at 8:30, and between 8:45 and 9 a.m. Florida time, they will begin. So yeah, here we are. Hello, everybody. Yeah, first, welcome back to day 3 of this trial. We have seen a lot of interesting testimonies so far. They are really, really going fast with this trial, primarily because the defense does not dispute the murders. Their defense is he was blackmailed. These 3 who are already convicted did it by themselves and then extorted him. His entire defense is that. And now it will be really interesting to hear him later on explain how. All right, we are getting
Good morning, members of the
directly
jury.
into it.
I hope you had a restful weekend. We are going to pick back up where we left off on Friday with the examination of Mr. Rivera. Mr. Rauschbaum, you may cross-examine when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Sound check. Everybody sound okay? Let me know if you need me to do anything. Yes.
Good morning. Before we get into your testimony, I want to clarify one thing. You didn't extort Charlie Adelson, right?
No.
One moment. Veronica, are you having problems still hearing? All right. If you can assist him. Mr. Rivera, make sure you speak as loudly as you can,
right.
sir.
Thank you.
And the answer to that question was no, right?
No.
You were paid $37,000 in your role in the murder of Professor Markel, right?
Yes.
You were supposed to be paid $35,000.
Yes.
Sigfredo Garcia, the shooter, gave you an extra $2,000, right?
Yes.
Your understanding was that the total payment was $100,000, correct?
Yes.
And that it was a one-time payment.
Yes, sir.
And you were told that you, Sigfredo, and Katie were hired by a lady to do a murder for hire, right?
No. If I was told by the lady?
No, I'm sorry. Let me slow down. You were told by Sigfredo that all of you were hired by a lady to do the murder, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
That you were doing it so that she could get her kids back.
Yes, sir.
And all of your information came from Sigfredo Garcia and Katie, correct?
Sigfredo, yes, sir.
Okay. And all of Sigfredo's information, to your knowledge, came from Katie, right?
Yes, sir.
Everything you knew about the murder plot came from Sigfredo.
Yes, sir.
According to you, Katie was the mastermind.
Yes, sir.
She was the one, as you've said, running the shots.
Yes, sir.
Anything that Sigfredo or you did in connection with the murder had to be cleared through Katie, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo and Katie lied to you about a lot of things about this murder, right?
Lied about what?
Well, let's go through it. For starters, during the first trip in early June, Sigfredo told you that you were going to do a robbery, right?
Yes, sir.
Not until on the way up did you find out that you were going to do a murder.
Yes, sir.
Before the July trip, you didn't want to go, right?
Yes, sir.
And to convince you, Sigfredo again told you that
I don't like this type of questioning. I don't like it because Sigfredo, this Luis, he is supposed to say these without getting it drawn out of him. I don't like this. Is it effective? Yeah. Does the prosecution get what they want in? Yes. It's not as effectful for me as if Louis said it himself.
You were just going there to scope things out.
Yes, sir.
During the second trip, the day before the murder, you drove by Professor Markel's house. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And you testified that at some point after you arrived at Markel's house, after noon on the 17th, you saw a woman and 2 kids walking on Trescott by the house.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And the woman looked at you as the Prius passed and immediately got on her phone.
Yes, sir.
You testified that you asked Sigfredo what was up with the lady. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo responded that that's her. That's the guy's wife. That's the one that wants the kids back.
Yes, sir.
You asked Sigfredo what the lady was doing there on Trescott with the kids.
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo responded that she came there to make sure that everything was all right,
Absolutely.
meaning all right with the plan.
Yes, sir.
As you sit here now, you're aware that the woman and the kids on the street was not the same lady, right?
I don't know if that was her or not, but she looked at my car.
It's possible that Sigfredo lied to you, right?
Who knows?
Another lie that Sigfredo and that was it. Oh, sorry. Strike that, Your Honor. Your understanding is that the money for the murder would be paid by the lady, right?
Yes, sir.
Again, your understanding came from Sigfredo.
Yes, sir.
I don't have perfect recollection of what he testified.
You didn't
in
go
the
with Katie to
trial.
get the money, right?
No.
So you don't know where she got it from,
No.
and you don't know what happened when she got it.
No.
Sigfredo never told you that he and Katie got more than $100,000 the night of the murder, did he?
No.
That would make sense why you got an extra $2,000, right?
Good to see
Maybe.
you, Old Red.
And Katie never told you that they got more than $100,000 the night of the murder, right?
No.
Sigfredo never told you that he and Katie were getting paid every month after the murder, right?
Never knew nothing about that.
You didn't know that they were getting paid $3,000 a month.
No.
You didn't know that they were getting paid $1,000 in Adelson Institute checks, did you?
Nope.
But you saw that Sigfredo was spending a lot of money, right?
Yes.
You saw that Sigfredo even told you that he had paid for Katie's breast augmentation surgery, right? Her breast surgery?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. If he told me about that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told you he paid for it, right?
that's what he said.
You didn't know that Katie was getting money from Charlie Adelson every month in an extortion plot, did you?
No.
In May of 2015, you get arrested on a federal RICO case, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were detained
Yes, sir.
and you wanted to get out of prison, right? You wanted to get a bail.
Yeah.
You started thinking about the fact that Katie and Sigfredo seemed to be spending a lot of money, right?
No.
Okay. So let's briefly recap all the lies that they told you. Not that you made, but that they told you. They lied to you about the purpose of the trip going to Tallahassee, right?
Yeah.
They lied to you about who the lady was on the street.
Yeah.
They lied to you about the amount of money they received.
Yeah.
They lied to you about getting money every month.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it possible that they lied to you about the purpose of the job to begin with?
They don't even got the money. Where they want to get the money from?
Isn't it possible that you thought it was a murder for hire, but it was really an extortion?
Extortion to who?
Charlie Adelson, not from you, but from them.
Okay.
Isn't it possible?
I don't know.
By the way, on Friday, you testified that you just wanted to rob the lady, right?
Yes, sir.
But Sigfredo was adamant. We can't rob the lady. We got to do the murder.
Yes, sir.
And for you who don't know, this
Isn't
is
that because he wanted to keep on getting money every month?
I think.
I don't know.
But you would have just robbed him, right?
Yeah.
Would have been a lot easier, right?
Real quick.
Would have been a one-time payment, right?
That's it.
Couldn't have gotten paid over time, though, right?
I don't know.
Well, if you rob someone, it's hard to keep robbing them over and over and over
Oh,
again. Right?
absolutely. Of course.
All right, so I want to back up a little bit, and I thank you for your honesty there.
And clickety clackety. It's not only me who have a loud keyboard.
You've never met Charlie Adelson, correct?
Nope.
You've never seen him before this case.
Nope.
You've never spoken to him by phone.
Never.
And you've never communicated with him in any way.
Never.
You've never met Donna or Harvey Adelson.
Nobody.
You never spoken to them by phone.
I didn't meet nobody.
And the same goes with Wendy Adelson, correct?
Nobody.
You know Sigfredo your whole life.
Yes, sir.
You're like brothers.
Yes, sir.
You've known Katie since she and Sigfredo started dating when they were teenagers.
Yes, sir.
You consider them to be married.
Yes, sir.
Sigfredo was deeply in love with Katie, right?
Absolutely.
He would do, as you've said, anything for her, right?
Anything.
He was, as you said, blind over her, right?
Yes, sir.
Katie treated him badly.
Yes.
She messed up his head, as you've said, right?
Yes, sir.
At some point, you learned from Sigfredo that Katie was having a relationship with someone she worked with, right?
Yes, sir.
Sigfredo told you that Katie was cheating on him with someone called the dentist.
Yes, sir.
According to what Sigfredo told you, Katie was sleeping with the dentist at the same time she was sleeping with Sigfredo, right?
Yes, sir.
So Sigfredo knew that Katie was cheating on him,
Yes, sir.
and he wasn't too happy about it, right?
Nope.
Sigfredo told you that the dentist had money. Let me rephrase. Sigfredo told you that Katie told him the person she was with was rich.
No.
Well, he told you that Katie would flaunt and show off to Sigfredo that the person she was dating with had money, right?
I don't think so.
Sigfredo was devastated when he learned about Katie's new relationship.
Yeah, anybody will, right?
I agree. Sigfredo started drinking too much.
Every day.
He started doing drugs.
Yes, sir.
He was acting crazy and unstable.
Yes, sir.
He couldn't keep a job. In fact, you had to fire him from a
Morning,
job.
Rob
Get him
Mill.
fired from a job, right?
Yes, sir.
Because he was drinking even while at work.
Yes, sir.
And he was fighting a lot.
Yes, sir.
Katie told Sigfredo that she would only take him back if he did this job for her, right?
Yeah.
Now, before Sigfredo was fired from his job, I want to take you to March 14th of 2014. Okay? I'll refresh your memory about it.
Let's go.
There was a day when you were driving home from work and Sigfredo was driving you and he took a detour to a restaurant on Miami Beach. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And you and Sigfredo were in Sigfredo's truck, a Dodge Ram.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sigfredo had been drinking
Every day.
and you were supposed to be headed home, but Sigfredo drove you to the restaurant.
Yes, sir.
You parked near the restaurant and you could see people sitting at tables eating outside. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And one of those people eating at the restaurant was Katie.
Yes, sir.
She was with three other people.
Can't remember that.
Do you remember they were all white?
I don't remember.
Okay. Sigfredo pointed Katie out to you and said that one of the people there was the dentist. Do you
Yes,
recall
sir.
that? And while you were sitting in Sigfredo's truck watching Katie and the dentist, Sigfredo told you he was going to run him over when they got up, right?
Yes, sir.
And what did you tell him in response?
I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna get off the truck.
But he was serious.
Yes, sir.
That's what he was like, right? He was angry.
He was a good man. But anybody get angry if your wife is doing another man?
And he was angry. He wanted to hurt the dentist, right?
Yeah.
Are you aware that he actually did try to run him off the road a couple months later in July 1st, 2014? Did he ever tell you about that incident with a jet ski?
No.
Can I have one moment, Your Honor? That he would give you around 35.
Yes.
Now, let me take you a little bit back to the first trip, okay? First trip to Tallahassee. Sigfredo came to your house and said he had a job in Tallahassee and asked you to go with him, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
He told you that if you took a ride with him, that he would give you around $35,000, right?
I don't remember.
He didn't initially tell you what the job was, right?
Nope.
He rented the car and he picked you up, right?
Yes, sir.
At some point during the trip, he told you that it was not going to be for a robbery, but for a murder, right?
Yes, sir.
He told you that they were going to kill someone because there was a lady who wanted custody of her kids back, right?
Yes, sir.
You didn't know anything about the person that you and Sigfredo were supposed to kill, right?
I didn't know none of these people.
The only thing you saw was a piece of paper that Sigfredo had with a photo and address on it, right?
Yes, sir.
And the photo looked like a headshot, right? Like from chest up.
Yes, sir.
Something you would get off the internet.
I doubt that, but wherever he got it from, he got it.
Welcome.
Your
from
understanding was that
Wales.
Katie gave Sigfredo that piece
Hey.
of paper, right?
Maybe.
You and Sigfredo left for Tallahassee after midnight on June 4th, which was a Wednesday, right?
I don't remember.
Fair enough. I wouldn't remember either.
Come on, man. 9 years ago.
Well, the next day after you arrived, you got to Professor Markel's house early in the morning and waited for him to come out, right?
Yes, sir.
And you saw him leaving the house with 2 kids, and you followed him to the daycare, right?
Was this the first drive?
First drive, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you lost him, right?
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo wanted to go back to Professor Markel's house, right?
Yes, sir.
And you refused. You didn't want to go back.
I don't remember.
You told Sigfredo you didn't want to kill a man over 2 kids.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to do it in front of the kids.
So you headed back to Miami.
Yeah.
And that's when you suggested doing a robbery of the lady rather than killing the guy. Right?
Absolutely.
But Sigfredo said it had to be a murder and he didn't want to rob her, right?
Yeah.
And that was odd to you.
Yes, sir.
As you previously have said, you assumed there was, quote, more to it, but you never asked Sigfredo, right?
Never asked him.
When Katie learned that the murder didn't happen on the first trip, she was upset, right?
Probably.
Now let's fast forward to
Probably.
July
Yes
16
or
to
no.
18. And I'm not good with dates either. Okay. A month or so after the first trip, Sigfredo came to you and said that you had to go back to Tallahassee, right?
Yeah.
He told you that he needed you to go back because he needed the money, right?
Yes, sir.
You told Sigfredo that you didn't want to go.
Yes, sir.
So he lied to you and told you, we're not going to do a murder. We're just going to do a lookout. We're just going to watch the guy. That's what he told you at first, right?
Yeah.
The first time you went to Tallahassee, Sigfredo rented the car for you, right?
Yes, sir.
But the second time, Sigfredo told you that you had to rent the car under your name.
Yes, sir.
Did Sigfredo tell you why he wanted you to rent the car under your name?
I never asked him questions.
He actually gave you the cash to rent the car, right?
Yep.
Did he tell you what color car to rent?
No,
Did he tell you what type of car to rent?
I don't remember.
The cash he gave you was in a crumpled bunch, right?
Shit, I don't remember though.
Let me ask you this way. The cash he gave you to rent the car, it wasn't stapled.
Nah, I don't think so.
Now, you rent the car and you head up to Tallahassee, right?
Yeah.
And you arrive at around 1 a.m. on Thursday, July 17th, right?
I don't remember the time, but
Early morning.
I don't remember.
Okay.
We got there.
Gotcha. You testified earlier that you didn't want to kill Markel during the first trip because he had his kids, right?
Yes, sir.
And you told Sigfredo that during the first trip.
Yeah,
You didn't want to do it in front of the kids.
I believe so.
Hello, Sonny from courtroom. Yay! Hello, Sonny.
And we already talked a couple times about seeing the woman on the street during the second trip, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, on July 18th, the day of the murder, you saw Professor Markel with his kids.
Yes, sir.
Again, you followed them to the daycare to make sure they were dropped off.
Yes, sir.
And then you went to the gym,
Yes.
and then you followed him back to his house where he was murdered, right?
Yes, sir.
And Sigfredo was the shooter.
Yes, sir.
He wanted you to be the shooter, but you didn't want to do it.
Yes, sir.
You testified that when you and Sigfredo were on your way back to Miami, Sigfredo called Katie.
Yes, sir.
And are you aware that the state has call records which put that call at 12:30 p.m.?
I don't know the time.
Will you take my word that the call records for purposes of these questions show that that call happened at 12:30?
If you say so.
The call wasn't on speakerphone, right?
No.
And you were driving on the highway at the time, right?
Yes, sir.
With the window cracked open a bit.
I don't remember.
Fair enough. But it's your testimony that you were able to hear some of the conversation, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you think you heard Sigfredo tell Katie, it's done, right?
I heard.
You heard Sigfredo tell Katie, it's done.
Yes. You sitting
And
next
you-
to me.
And what's that?
You sitting right next to me.
Understand. And you think you heard Katie respond, I know.
I think I heard her.
When you were interviewed by law enforcement, in September of 2016, right?
Yes, sir.
That was 2 years after the murder.
Yes, sir.
We're now 8 years after the murder, right?
Yes.
Your memory might have been a little bit better then. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And during that interview, you told law enforcement that you didn't hear the I know comment. Do you recall that?
No.
Nonetheless, in order for Katie to know, she would have had to be told by someone before 12:30 p.m., correct?
Yeah.
After Sigfredo hung up with Katie, he told you that you would get your money tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were upset about that.
Yes.
You were upset because you didn't understand why the money wasn't already secured.
Absolutely.
Because when you do a murder for hire, you get paid up front.
Yes, sir.
You don't get paid over time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You don't get paid after the fact.
Yep.
The whole point of a murder for hire is you get paid, you do a killing, and then you separate.
Yes,
That's the reason for that type of crime, right?
I guess.
And in fact, you told Sigfredo that since the job was finished, you were supposed to be paid right there and then.
Yes,
Isn't that
sir.
what you told him?
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk a little bit about the payment. You got paid the next day, right?
Yep.
And Katie dropped off the money, right?
Yes, sir.
And it was stapled.
Yes, sir.
And that's the first time you had ever seen stapled money, right?
Yes.
You had never, on any of these other trips, you had never seen stapled money.
What other trips?
Well, the first trip to Tallahassee, the second trip to Tallahassee,
Yeah.
ever in your
Okay.
life.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen stapled money.
And when you got paid, Sigfredo gave you an extra $2,000, right?
Yes, sir.
No, they started on time. Judge is adamant the jury is in place at 8:30 a.m. So trial starts between 8:45 and 9 a.m. once the jury is, everybody is in.
Throughout the years after, Katie and Sigfredo got back together, right?
Yeah, I was in prison already.
But you saw that they had moved to a new apartment,
Yeah,
that they had bought a new large TV.
TV.
They bought a nice TV, right, after the
No, I
murder?
was in prison.
What about before you went to prison? Did you see they bought a new large TV?
I mean, they had nice stuff.
They started to get some nice stuff, right?
Yeah,
Started to spend some money, right?
yeah.
For me, why not both? Pay off for a hit and then
One
also
last
this
area of
wealthy
questions.
family. Let's get some more
Maybe
out of it.
quick.
So one doesn't exclude the other.
In 2014 and 2015, during the time of these events, you were a member of the Latin Kings, right?
Yeah,
And that's a crime family, right?
it's a family. Yeah,
Sonny so far
Commits
has
crimes,
chosen
right?
not to
I mean, every
tell us
gang
who
does.
she is, and I
It's a
will
gang.
respect that.
I guess that's what you want to call it. I call it a family.
In fact, you were the head of the North Miami branch of the Latin Kings, right?
Yeah.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yeah, thank you so much to Sonny for chatting away from inside the courtroom. Apparently, there are a bunch of YouTubers there as well. Good. Live transcripts from live reporting from the courtroom when it is.
Mr. Rivera, the
Allowed.
defense characterized a lot of things that Garcia told you as
Redirect.
lies. Do you know that those things were lies?
No.
So when he said, "Oh, that's the lady, she's looking at us," do you know if he really thought it was the lady or not?
No, it was the lady.
He thought it was the lady,
It
right?
was the lady.
Okay.
It was her.
All right. And how long after the murder did Garcia seem to have a lot of money? Like for years after the murder, for weeks after the murder?
Probably weeks, months.
Okay. So weeks or months he was spending money like crazy, right?
Yeah.
But after that he was broke again.
Yeah.
I mean,
When you were in the
this
car
guy
with
made
Garcia
millions.
at the restaurant
Why
where
would
he was
he
talking about
pay
running
off
the dentist over.
1 or 2
Yes,
grand
ma'am.
a month.
Was he what was he acting like?
I mean, he's himself. You can never tell. But
Mm-hmm.
he drinks a lot. He does a lot of coke. But he was frustrated.
Okay, so he was jealous,
Absolutely.
angry,
Yeah.
pissed off,
Hmm.
drunk,
Every day.
okay, and heartbroken, right?
Yes.
All right. What about on the trips to Tallahassee? Was he like that on those trips?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so during the trips to Tallahassee, was he talking about the dentist?
No, we barely spoke.
All right, so when y'all were sitting out in front of the restaurant, he was talking about the dentist, right? At that time.
Yeah.
and specifically mentioning how Katie was dating the dentist and that was upsetting him.
That's all he said. He didn't mention him too much. He's like, that's the dude she's cheating on me with.
All right. And what about on the trips to Tallahassee? Was he going on about that on the trips to Tallahassee? No. Did he mention on the trips to Tallahassee, like, this has something to do with the dentist, or we got to kill this guy because I'm trying to harm the dentist?
No. To harm him, he never said nothing about him.
Very leading. Very leading.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Good morning, Jenna Jones. Hothead red. Yeah. Everything with this guy is very leading. First of all, he is a gang member.
Did this murder have anything to do with the Latin
testimony
Kings?
in some way?
No, absolutely not.
Were you asked to threaten anybody related to this murder? I mean, were you ever asked to threaten the dentist because you're a Latin King and he might be afraid of you?
No, I don't even know these people, man. The Latin Kings ain't got nothing to do with this.
No further
Promise you that.
Oh, if this was unauthorized, yeah, you better say it wasn't Latin King involvement. Yeah. All right. That was Luis Rivera. He is the snitch who snitched on Katie, Katie and the other guy. And now he's testified in the Charles Adelson trial. Let's see who was next. Let's see if I can speed it up a bit. Here's a tall guy. Is Katie next? All right. Here's Katie. Does she still look like a 13-year-old kid? Well into her 30s. Charlie has a type. Asian girls looking like they're teenagers. Speed up a bit. Go ahead. All right, we are up to speed. For Sonny Tanner says that Katie is next. Katie. Yeah, Katie. Charlie's girlfriend at the time. Got a boob job and a job she never appeared on. Good morning, Jackpot Springs. Oh, jury sent out to bring Katie in prison garb. Oh, poor Katie. Poor Katie. Yeah. Two killers sharing their heartbroken feelings over titties. Yeah. The difference is at least that snitch wasn't... Now, I don't trust any prison snitch. But there's a level of health in between them, because as in the Zachariah Anderson case, you had that guy Munch, who was full of shit and testified to complete garbage. That Zach was in jail for over 2 years when they all of a sudden has this prison snitch, and he all of a sudden tells him everything within a week. Yeah, sure. And for those of you who don't know, Munch, the prison snitch in the Zachariah Anderson trial, within months, he was facing 10 years to life. Within 3 months, he was out on probation. Yeah, that's how much I trust Prosecutor Gravely when he said that he had no pull in getting Munch a lighter sentence. Yeah, Rob Mill asked Sonny, are they allowed to use electronic devices? On do not disturb, plus no video, audio, or photos. Yeah, we have to rely on what Tallahassee Democrat and Law and Seaward shows us. Yeah, I mean, if they have collaborating evidence, it's like DNA. DNA in itself, not evidence. Collaborating evidence, yes. Then it can be used as enforced. And that is sadly what the CSI generation more or less believes, that DNA in itself is evidence, is direct evidence, and it's not. DNA is still circumstantial evidence because there can be multiple explanations why DNA can be at a certain spot, especially touch and transfer DNA. Now, direct DNA as in, yeah, your he was in her hoo-ha. Yeah, that's a totally different. But in the Sachs case, a pin-sized speck or something they couldn't even test for blood. And if you go back about a month, I have a stream about an actual DNA expert writing a letter to the board in that state about how outrageously bad the state's DNA experts. Oh, she wasn't even a DNA expert. They could. she was a lab technician, and how horrifically bad her testimony actually was. But there's a lot of people out there that still says, well, they found his blood and DNA. No, they didn't. Unless it's tested, it's an opinion. Might be called an expert opinion, but it's still just an opinion. And in that case, her testimony shows me, in the Sigfredo Adelson case, that no, that testimony, in my opinion, was orchestrated to fit the state's narrative. And for me, that a person who does that on the witness stand to make their testimony fit the state's case, you're just there to report numbers. That's it. But more and more they are used to giving opinions. Well, she is an expert. She is allowed to opine on it. Yeah, but she testified it as fact. She's not the fact finder. That's the jury. She was there to report numbers and nothing else. Those things pisses me off. Sunny Tanner, happy mucking fun day. Yeah. Yeah, Louis and Jeffrey were the stand-up guys in this tragedy. I like the guy from Friday, the Balls of Brass guy. Does Katie have the possibility of parole? She is life in prison plus 2 additional 30-year sentences to run consecutively That's dun dun dun. No, life without parole. Now we don't know. Maybe she will cut a deal for her testimony, but that we will find out as soon as she takes the stand. Don't know what's taking so long. Oh yeah. For anybody who knows who Charlie Adelson looks like. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah, the lab technician in the Zachariah Anderson case. She was asked, instead of testifying the numbers, she was asked, can you with a certain degree, what was it now? With a degree of scientific certainty that DNA was Mr. Instead of actually showing the weird sound. Good morning, Danny D. Good morning. It's on tight in the courtroom. No, I don't think there was ever a lineup. Might have been, but we haven't heard that testimony. Okay, finally, sound guy discovered that there was a lot of background noise. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning from way to effing early West Coast USA. Good morning to you. Yeah, have a great day, you too. Okay, while we wait. Again, this is June. Just around the time Charlie was arrested. There she is with a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, remember on the stand when she said, when she was asked, have you been given something Do you try to keep your quiet or alter your testimony? No. Well, and allegedly she lives in a condo that she doesn't pay rent for. Yeah, we are still waiting for the court to get its crap together. Yeah, and then we still have who does Charlie look like? Is it Cousin Larry? Think so, folks? Does he really look like Cousin Larry? Yeah, I would assume he looks a lot like Cousin Larry. Oh, she got a Prison Pal account. That's why she's smiling in the latest mugshot. Salbert, are you still there? Oh, we have to find her. Oh, I have to tell Mo when she gets here. Mo is having her own stream right now where she goes through fun. Oh, Sally's here. Prison Pal account, and here's Albert. Dun dun dun. I mean, we have a Dave signal, but there might be a Sal signal. Hold on. Oh, come on, court. What's taking so long? You over at Rumble, by the way? Friday, I missed a $5 Rumble rant. I am very sorry I missed that. I do not know when it came in, and Rumble only says it came in. And so I don't know who sent it. Yeah, I wish I... Yeah. Okay. Okay, sidebar without jury. Okay. Oh, here we are.
Everyone can be seated.
Okay.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, we have... I wonder what's going on. Yeah, Sal, if you find her on that, we will go through that when we have a break. We will look at her PanPal account. Orlando Women Correctional Facility, but here in Leon County Jail for trial. Okay. Okay, so Sonny is there. If you can afford her. Let's see how she looks today. Dun dun dun. Oh, really? Well, she had everything curled up in her own trial. There she is.
You can be seated for now. If the jurors are good to be brought in, please bring them in.
She looks a bit older from last year, but she hasn't had time to
Come in, you'll need to
perk
remain
herself up.
standing. I will swear you in, and then you can take your seat. Okay.
I'm still wondering if she cut some kind of deal for at least some easement on her sentence for her testimony, but we will find out. Oh, he's trying to stare her down. Yeah, surely you are in after round and finding out kind of territory now.
Witness may be seated. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, please say your name and spell your name.
Catherine Magbanua, Katherine Magbanua.
I see that you're in jail clothes. Are you currently in custody?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you in custody for?
For murder?
Are you doing a sentence for murder?
Yes, ma'am.
You were convicted of murder?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a trial in your case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you testify?
Yes, ma'am.
You testified on your own behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And when you testified, were you truthful with the jury?
No, ma'am. I was not.
Did you take the same oath that you just took today in your own trial?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your defense when you were tried?
That I had nothing to do with it.
All right. That we got it right in reference to Charlie Adelson and we got it right in reference to the killers,
Yes,
but you
ma'am.
weren't in the middle.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that true?
No, ma'am. It was not.
Were you in the middle?
Yes, ma'am. I was.
And didn't you also testify in the trial in which Sigfredo Garcia was convicted of murder?
Yes, ma'am. I was.
And what was his defense?
That he had nothing to do with it.
That we got it right in reference to Charlie Adelson and we got it right in reference to the killers, but he had nothing to do with it.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled, Ms. Kellerman, make sure you have any questions.
And was that defense truthful?
No, ma'am, it was not.
So Sigfredo Garcia was involved.
Yes, ma'am, he was.
So why tell the truth now?
I believe that the truth needed to come out now so that the family can get some type of closure.
Why didn't the truth need to come out last year or the year before or the
Oh.
year before that?
I was trying to defend myself.
You were trying to get off.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you think you'd be successful in your trial with that defense?
I thought so.
Has anyone promised you anything for your testimony here today?
No, ma'am.
Weren't you originally offered immunity for cooperation in this case?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
But you didn't take us up on that
No, ma'am, I didn't.
because you thought you could get off completely,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And now you're doing a life sentence.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Did Charlie Adelson threaten to harm you if you told the truth?
No, ma'am, he didn't threaten me.
Did anybody threaten you to keep your silence?
No, ma'am.
Did anybody promise you anything if you remained silent all these years?
I wasn't promised anything, but I wasn't promised anything.
Go ahead, finish your thought. You weren't promised anything, but what?
I thought everything was going to be okay.
You thought you'd be acquitted.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So did you know Dan Markel?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you have any personal beef with him?
No, ma'am, I did not.
What was your motivation for
I mean,
becoming a part of this murder plot?
Immunity,
Financially,
and now she's life without parole.
So not as a favor
Yeah.
to Charlie Adelson?
Whoever her attorney was an idiot.
I'll rephrase it, Your Honor. Was it a favor to Charlie Adelson?
yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay, but your primary motivation was not favor to Charlie Adelson?
Well, yes, ma'am, it was. And financially,
All right, because you were going to get paid for your
Yes.
part?
Yes,
How much
ma'am.
did you get paid?
I don't know the exact amount.
What was your relationship to Charlie Adelson?
He was my ex-boyfriend.
When did you meet him?
I believe that was in 2013.
Do you know what month?
Has to be around September.
Can you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
He's sitting over there with a
Again,
blue jacket.
She
and
was
blue tie.
offered immunity for her testimony.
Show you what a mark does states 48.
Yeah, or she didn't listen to her attorney, but
Can you
Jesus.
pieces of
Oh,
it?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How do you recognize it?
That's when we went to Key West.
Is that a fair and accurate photo of you and Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am, it
Is
is.
that when the two of you were taken when the two of you were dating?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence states 48.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
48 is admitted.
Do we have that for publication?
yeah. I know, but at that time she was in deep shit. And the relationship with Charlie was over. What did she have to gain? Now, maybe she didn't actually have anything to do with it. We don't know. But if she had any information,
So was this photo taken before or after the murder?
Before.
Who came up with the idea to kill Dan Markel?
Charlie.
So Sigfredo Garcia didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Luis Rivera didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
When did the defendant first bring this idea up to you?
My first recollection was around Halloween of 2013.
Around Halloween or on the actual?
On Halloween, yes, ma'am.
All right. What's your recollection of how that came up?
We were at a Halloween party in Lincoln Road, and right before we were about to go, he got in the car with me and he asked me a question.
What was the question?
Do you know anybody that can harm someone?
And did you know anybody that could harm someone?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Who was that?
Sigfredo.
And at the time, what was your relationship with Sigfredo?
Wasn't the best.
But he was the father of your children, right?
Yes, ma'am. He,
So were you dating both men at this time, or were you only dating
no,
Charlie?
I was only dating Charlie.
And so he meaning the defendant, initially said, do you know anyone that could harm someone? Was he aware of your connection to Sigfredo Garcia when he made
No.
that statement?
Not that I know of. No, ma'am.
Did you suggest Sigfredo Garcia at that time to the defendant?
No, ma'am.
What did you say?
I just said yes and kind of left it alone.
All right. Did it go any further than that at that time?
Not that night. I don't
Did
believe
you
so.
know who he wanted harmed
Did
at that time?
no, ma'am.
All right. Had you become aware during the course of your relationship with him that he had some kind of issue going on with his
This is in front of jury.
ex-husband?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What did you learn about that?
He was just stating
I
that
think
his
at least-
family wasn't, his mom and dad was stressed, and that his sister was having problems with her husband and custody of her 2 children.
And when did you learn that the person that the defendant wanted harmed was this ex-husband of the sister?
I believe later on.
All right. And when did you learn the name Dan Markel?
It wasn't until, I don't know if it was on my trial or when Sigfredo got arrested.
Okay, so even when he was killed, you didn't know the name of the person that was being killed.
Yes, I never knew his name.
How did the defendant refer to this person, if not by the name Dan or Danny Markel?
Wendy's husband.
So you knew that the person that was going to be initially harmed was Wendy's husband.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you knew that there were issues, or what did you know about the beef with him?
He painted this picture that this was a terrible man and making his family go through a lot custody wise with his sister.
All right, and when he would say these things to you, is it in the context of his mom specifically or his family in general?
I believe it was more towards his mom,
Meaning what?
that his mom hasn't been sleeping, his mom is not eating. I know his dad wasn't the best health either, but he would refer to his mom a lot.
All right. And the reason she wasn't sleeping or eating, did that have to do with this ex-husband of Wendy?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever tell the defendant who it was that was going to be doing the job?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Why didn't you say the name Sigfredo to Charlie Adelson?
I always referred to each other as my friend. Neither one of them wanted to really hear each other's names.
And why is that?
Because Sigfredo was the father of my kids, and I was dating him at that time. I was dating Charlie at that time.
Okay, so Sigfredo Garcia, did he have strong feelings about the defendant?
Yes, he didn't like him.
All right, and is that because you were dating him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and vice versa, you're not going to talk about the child's father with the new boyfriend either?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So is it true then that you were sort of walling these two off from each other before the issue of the murder and the conspiracy ever even arose?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that pattern continue throughout the murder conspiracy?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
Do you think Charlie Adelson knew that it was your child's father that you were going to?
He might have had an idea, but he just never said it out loud.
There's one phone call between
I'm not swayed by her
it's from Sigfredo
testimony.
Garcia to Harvey Adelson, the father of the defendant. Do you know anything about that phone call? That was on July 1st of 2014.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you know about that phone call?
From the trial, what I remember was that Sigfredo had contacted or was trying to contact Charlie, but we were in a heated argument at that time. We were kind of in the middle of the street, and I guess it's the first thing he looked up was his work number.
All right, so you say you're in a heated argument. Is this the confrontation that occurred while you and the defendant were going jet skiing?
I believe that was after.
It was after that incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how many interactions personally, face to face, did, to your knowledge, Charlie Adelson have with Sigfredo Garcia?
That was probably the only one that I remember was that jet ski accident
Accident?
or like the confrontation.
All right, tell us what happened at that confrontation.
Sigfredo had just picked up the kids and he was eating at a corner pizza place with the kids, and he saw that Charlie was coming by to go pick me up, and I guess saw the jet skis in the back of the car. So he loaded up the kids and cut us off, was screaming a couple things out loud, but we didn't really hear anything because our windows was up.
All right, did you say he cut you off? Do you mean in traffic?
In the back street of where I lived at that time.
All right, and when you say he cut you off, did he run you off the road or something else?
He kind of just went right and blocked the road in front of us, so Charlie had to kind of do a 3-point turn and go around the other way.
Did the two men actually get out into the street and confront each other?
No, ma'am, they did not.
Okay, were any actual words exchanged through the windows?
Through the windows, yes, but I had my window up, so we didn't know what Sigfredo was saying.
All right. So Sigfredo shouted some things out the window. Did Mr. Adelson do the same?
No, he did not.
And what were the things that were shouted out the window? Were you able to hear them or not?
I didn't hear anything.
And at this point, this is July 1st of 2014, the plot is already underway to do this murder, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Does Sigfredo Garcia know that he's doing the murder for Charlie Adelson?
To my knowledge, he might have had an inkling about it, but I don't know. That was never spoken of.
Okay, the killers, and when I say the killers, I'm referring to Garcia and Rivera, knew they were doing something for a lady to get her kids back. Do you know how they knew that information?
I believe it's because of the envelope that Charlie gave me to pass over.
So you didn't relay that information to them that it had to do with a lady and her kids?
I might have mentioned it to Sigfredo, yes.
Okay. So if you mentioned that to Sigfredo, would you be, I guess, were you intentionally trying to characterize this job as being related to someone other than Charlie Adelson?
I believe so, yes.
Because is that because Sigfredo Garcia would not have wanted to do anything to help out Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So do you think Sigfredo knew that this lady with the kids was somehow connected to Charlie Adelson?
I believe so.
All right. And there was going to be a lot of money paid for this job, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know anybody else with that kind of money or that might have had that kind of money to get this job for them?
No, ma'am, I did not.
All right, you mentioned the paper. Luis Rivera said there was a paper that Sigfredo had when they came to do the murder. Do you know anything about that paper?
No, ma'am, I don't.
All right. Did you provide a paper to Sigfredo Garcia?
Yes, I did.
All right, and when you say you don't know anything about it, but you gave it to him, you obviously know something about it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tell us I know what you're trying to say is you don't know what was on the paper.
The content of it. Yes.
Tell us how you got the paper.
One moment. That's right. Ms. Kappelman, please use open-ended questions.
Tell us how you came into possession of this paper that the killers had.
Okay. One day, just a random night that I was over at Charlie's house, he had a manila envelope that was sealed. He told me, Katie, do not open it, do not touch it, do not look inside it. I didn't print this paper out from my office, printed it probably from another office, and basically relate, give that paper to the other person.
All right. And who is saying this?
This was Charlie.
All right. This defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
So he says to you, I have this paper. How does he give it to you?
I had a diaper bag, so he showed me the envelope, and I was like, just put it in there.
Did he express any concerns about fingerprints being on the envelope or the contents?
Yes, ma'am. He said he wore a glove so that there's no fingerprints on it. He was very specific about me not opening it and not looking inside it. And he also told me that he didn't print it from his office.
All right. And what about licking the envelope?
And that he didn't lick the envelope.
He said he did not lick the
He
envelope?
did not lick that.
And what was the purpose of that?
I guess his DNA.
Okay. So did you touch the envelope?
It was in my diaper bag, but I don't remember if I never opened it, but I might have touched it just to stick it inside in my diaper bag.
And did you deliver the envelope to Sigfredo Garcia?
I must have contacted Sigfredo and just told them, hey, come by the house. And then, he was kind of in and out of my life. So he'd pop up. He literally got the envelope. I was like, you have something inside that bag. And then he grabbed it, stuffed it in his pants, and left.
Okay. In regards to the June trip that the killers made, did you provide Garcia or Rivera with any money for expenses associated with that trip?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And where did you get the money from to do that?
From Charlie Adelson.
Can you tell us about that? What was the context of you getting that money?
Sigfredo would just ask me, hey, I'm gonna need some money.
Yeah, that's
I need
an
to go out of
uphill
town.
battle.
I'm like, okay.
Everything she says here contradicts what she said in 2 prior trials. And the very fact she was offered immunity before the first trial if she testified. At that time, she had broken up with Charlie and had nothing to gain. I mean, yeah, this is really, really strange for me. Really, really strange. But when the most damning thing here, this is not backup, but when they play the tapes and the video, this might be more of more believable. I don't know. I don't know what the immunity was, what kind of immunity. And finally, I have somebody to talk to.
Well,
Hey, Mo.
try. Hello.
Hello. Mo is here. Ah,
I know. I made my first meme-ish, I think. I don't know.
yay. Yeah, I showed it earlier.
I was so
Oh, I
proud
th-
of me,
Mhm.
which is
Yes.
sad. Eh,
Yeah. Yeah, let's show it again.
I'm telling you, it's uncanny. I know I can do better with the whole shading and crap, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But his hair goes perfectly. I mean, it's cousin Larry and Balky. I'm just saying, if he gets out of this conviction, I'm
Mhm.
just saying,
Mm.
Disney, you want to do redos? We have your actor. Oh, Salbert, no. Why won't the world ever work out for us?
Mm. Maybe she has it toned down
Privated?
or during the trial.
That might be it. She doesn't want all the people
Mm.
to.
Yeah. I don't know who
Did
paid for the lawyers in the first trial, or if she had public defenders. I can't remember.
now did they go into did it come out yet that did she get any reduction in her sentence or anything for coming here today?
According to her testimony, she has not been offered anything for her testimony today. But
Okay.
that's just phrasing, because offered means offered on paper.
Okay.
Saying we'll see what we can do, or it depends on your testimony, and if it's not on paper, it's not offered.
Okay. Well, I figured there was something squifferly about it, to where they could say, hey, depending on how you say this, we can squiggle our way out of this.
Yeah. And let's just say now, a year later, she looks more adult than in her trial.
Is she able to remember things and understand and comprehend questions now? Like, does she understand what words mean now?
Yeah. Better
Oh,
now, but it's still quite leading questions.
well, we met Chuck's other girlfriend, so he has a
Yeah.
type.
Oh, yeah. Did you? Oh, you probably didn't see this. Hold on, and I will. This is at around the time Charlie was arrested.
Well, I can't blame him. But personally, I like to be able to
Yeah.
talk to people.
Yeah. But
You can
that's
only
that.
do
that
certain
mm,
activities for
yeah.
about an hour a day,
Yeah.
2
But
hours if
by
you're.
the way, that's her brand new Mercedes-Benz at the time.
Oh,
Yeah. Remember how she testified to she hasn't received any gifts or something from Charlie? Yeah.
are her chesticles also her own, or were those also a gift, or was a one boob donated to? For the love of all, I only did half. For the love of which one? Is it lefty
Oh.
or righty? I just need to know for science. This is why I couldn't be a prosecutor. I'd be like, "Left one or right one, ma'am?" Science.
Do you only pay half? I mean, it's like milk, half and half or full. Uh, but before we get too far behind, let's keep listening to her and see, because I'm having a hard time with all the leading questions and everything. I need solid evidence, not prison snitches.
Have they gotten to the recording
I go to
yet?
No, not yet.
Charlie,
Okay.
or I'd be at Charlie's house, and I'll tell him I need some money for the expenses.
And he gave you some money?
Yes, ma'am.
About how much money, if you know?
I can't recall, but it was a couple $100s.
I mean, if this was extortion,
So
why
this
only a grand
started
to a month?
back in October of
He's
13
making
and
millions.
doesn't get done until July of
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
14.
Yeah.
Can you describe whether there's any pressure as time is going on and this thing is
And if
not
Charlie
getting done?
claims hundreds and thousands of dollars in extortion, yeah,
I don't
IRS
remember,
are going
like
to have a
in the
word with you.
beginning of the year, I don't think there was really much. I mean, he's been planting this seed in my head
He's serving life
that
without parole.
this needed to get done. This needed to get done. And I guess towards probably around June, July is when he was a little bit more adamant about this job getting done.
Okay. And when you say he, you're talking about who?
Charlie.
Did you ever have any contact with any other Adelson about this job?
No, ma'am.
In the context of this needs to get done, this pressure getting put on you, is there ever a mention of the mom, Donna, or the divorce situation in the context of getting it done?
At that time, not that I could recall.
Will you publish 35, please?
I'm going to speed it up a bit. So
Is this you on the left side of the screen?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Right. And was this picture, where was this picture taken?
This was in South Beach. I believe the building that they were living at the where Charlie's parents were living at.
Is that the icon?
I don't think that was an icon. It was somewhere in First and Ocean.
Okay, so a different residence.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And this photo, was this the first time you'd ever met Wendy, or had you already known Wendy before this photo?
I met her one time prior to this because I believe this was in Father's Day. So I met her around spring break when I had dinner with her and Jeffrey.
Okay.
Yes.
So the Yardbird restaurant?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this was the second time you'd met her.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a relationship with her outside of her being Charlie's sister?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you communicate with her by phone or through any apps or anything like that?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you receive any communication from her specifically about the homicide?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did Wendy ever give you any money or other gifts?
No, ma'am, she did not.
Did anybody pay you for your part in the murder other than Charlie Adelson?
No, ma'am, they did not.
All right. And the payments from Charlie Adelson, did those include the checks that were signed by his mother from
Yes,
the Adelson
ma'am.
Institute?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Did you perform any job at the Adelson Institute?
No, ma'am, I did not.
You didn't go up there and clean on the weekends?
No, ma'am, I did not.
On the night of the murder, did you go to the defendant's house?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And where was that house, or what house was that?
That was in Whale Harbor in Fort Lauderdale.
All right. And did you get payment for the murder that night?
I believe it was the following morning.
Were you in a panic when you arrived at his house?
Was I in a panic?
In a panic.
I wasn't in a panic, but Charlie was.
Okay. Explain that. How was he acting?
When I opened the door, he was kind of frantic and he had a gun in his hand and he was just all over the place.
Was that normal behavior for him?
Not having a gun in his hand, no, ma'am.
All right. Did you know him to have a gun prior to that?
Yes, ma'am. He has a gun safe.
All right. But he just didn't usually carry around in his hand?
Yeah, he's never had it in his hand.
Turn the phone off, please.
seriously, folks, there are signs everywhere. Turn your phone off,
What was he saying to you when he was in this frantic state?
or airplane
can't
mode,
really
or
recall
silent,
because
or whatever.
He had given me some Xanax, so it was a little blurry that night, and I just fell asleep. I think we both fell asleep. So
All right. Can you tell the jury whether the excitement that he was showing had to do with the murder or something else?
yes, ma'am, it had to do with that.
Okay. Was anybody else there at his residence when you arrived?
At that day, no, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ever see his parents at the residence?
No, I didn't see his parents.
How was the money
Yeah,
packaged when you got it? I think
he
you said you got it the
seems
next morning.
smarter than
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Okay,
It
how was
was-
it
But
packaged?
that's not a high
It
bar.
was in a plastic. The money was in a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag, that was inside a brown bag, and then like a grocery bag over it.
And was the money stapled?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Can you explain how it was stapled? Like what size bills and what increments were stapled together?
I believe it was stapled in. I never counted it, but it was like in a stack, and it was stapled in the corner.
All right. Were they $100 bills or something else?
They were $100 bills, and there was some 20s and 50s.
Okay. And was the money damp?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Explain what you mean to the jury.
A couple days
Did he
after
actually
that,
launder
my
the
friend-
money
and I
in the
opened
washing
bag and I called
machine?
Sigfredo, and I told him, I was like, "There's mold
It
on
might
this
be
money."
stripper
And
money.
he's like, "Well, blow dry it." And I was like, "But why would there be mold on the money?" And he's just, "I don't know, just blow dry it." So I believe his parents or his mom might have washed the money.
You mean like physically wash the money?
Yes, ma'am.
And why do you think his mom did it?
Because he was always adamant about telling me he didn't have any money in his house. And he told me that his parents had just stopped by right before I got there. So all
Okay.
of a sudden he had money to put.
Everybody testified in the last two trials about Charlie having a safe with a lot of cash. And now she's on the stand saying he never had money at home. Or was that at the office? I mean,
Well,
this is
that's also blowing up his defense that, she came in there and demanded she knew that there was money there, he was
uh,
l- I okay.
yeah,
And
but everything is
moldy
so
money.
contradictory. Yeah, moldy money. I mean, it takes a lot to get. I mean, money can be damp if you wash it, but American currency, if you wash that through, I mean, that's not high quality paper.
No.
This doesn't seem right.
Uh,
If you wash a stack of $100 bills in your pants, you have a lump of paper or paper
Well,
lint.
no, no, as a
Or
laundry master, you end up with what I like to call mom cash, and I
oh,
steal that crap and I buy stuff
all
as
right.
a so you can wash money, it comes out the other end just crumpled. I mean, it survives. It's never gotten moldy to my knowledge. I mean, when I used to work as a waitress, you can iron money and it
Mm,
stays because it comes in all crinkled. You can
mm.
so what you would have to do to get moldy
Okay,
money.
place in one place. I stand corrected.
Yeah, it's a fairly I think it's actually like an almost linen style paper.
Mm,
But yeah, I steal that money. Moms can agree. We steal that or whoever does laundry, and it's called a
mm,
launder fee.
mm.
It's called clean out your pockets, people. Otherwise, it
Yeah,
comes to me.
yeah. It's like, look, this lottery ticket. I got a new lottery ticket for one of these scratchy thingies. Oh, I won a new one. Let's put that in my shirt pocket so I remember it. Then 3 months later, what's this in my pocket? Oh, yeah. Yeah, but with her testimony, yeah.
in the trunk of my car the
Was the
following morning.
money, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I'm sorry.
Was the money already sorted out and packaged when you first saw it, or was he doing that?
No,
while
it
you
was
were there?
already stacked and sorted out.
Okay. And did he have to, so he didn't have to go anywhere to get the money. He already had it when you arrived.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any argument that night about the money or the next morning?
With me and Charlie?
Yes.
No.
Did you, I guess you did stay there that night? You may have already said that.
Yes, I fell asleep.
Was there any argument with the defendant at all about anything that night?
No, ma'am. Not that I can recall.
Did you threaten him in any way?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Maybe you could sign up. Sorry.
Okay, sidebar. Let's skip ahead a bit so we get caught up.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to say that her being there was a threat.
I mean,
Implicit.
she's like 4'2". How is she a
Well,
threat?
but her connection to the other 5'4",
Continue
bad
with the
guy.
examination.
I don't know.
Did you, the night that you
We'll
went to
see
get the
on
money,
cross.
did you threaten Charlie Adelson in any way?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you try to extort money out of him?
No, ma'am, I did not.
The money that he gave you, is that something that had already been discussed or agreed upon in reference to this homicide?
Well, I believe yes, because it was going to be payment for this.
You weren't, well, were you sent with a message from Sigfredo to tell him
I don't really buy that. I mean, paying off and then she got side money because girlfriend. I mean,
Yeah,
Charlie's making millions off his dentistry. And if girlfriend says, give me boobs, he gave boobs. Girlfriend says, I need a couple of grand a month just for shopping,
yeah.
I don't know, lipsticks or something. Yeah, let me just set this up as an employee so I can do it as a write-off.
Well,
mean-
and two things can be true at the same time. It could be girlfriend money and keep the hell quiet money at the same time.
Yeah. If you want me to keep, but then again, I mean, 2 grand. I mean, for a person who makes millions.
If anyone would like to sponsor Mo for my for-profit charity, if you have an extra $2,000 around and you just, it would end up in your laundry and you would like to sponsor Mo's house.
Yeah, go to
I'm
Mo
just
and subscribe to her. I mean, 1,000 people for what is it? $2 a month, $3 as a member.
I did one for I think $1.99 and one for $2.99. I am going to work on my first members only video. You will be able to see where I run off to when I say I rotate laundry. I will show you my laundry station. It's the other
Oh,
glamorous place I go in my house.
all right.
Better give it up or else.
No, ma'am.
Did you relay to the defendant that his family was in danger if he didn't give you whatever it was you were asking for?
No, ma'am.
How did Sigfredo Garcia and Luis
That
Rivera
speaks
get
against
paid
Charlie
for their part in this
because
murder?
if he thought his family
That
was
morning,
in danger,
when I
he
woke
would
up,
have
I was like, "Oh my God, I gotta go."
ran to
So
mommy.
I drove back down, and I was trying to look for Sigfredo, and having a hard time that morning. And then eventually, I made it to the alleyway of where Lewis's building was,
Was that on
North Miami,
yes,
in like 135th.
where he lived with Jessica?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
And I was just waiting in the car, and all of a sudden, Sigfredo just like popped up and got inside the passenger seat.
All right, so they got their money from you,
Yes, ma'am. Sigfredo did.
and Rivera got paid as well, didn't he?
I believe so. Yes.
All right, I want to draw your attention to what we're calling the bump. You know what we're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After the bump and the subsequent conversations
That
were
video,
occurring, did you
I'll
have
play
any
that.
contact with any other
Yeah.
Adelson about the bump other than Charlie Adelson?
No, ma'am.
So you didn't talk to Wendy about it?
No, ma'am. I did not.
Didn't talk to Harvey or Donna about it?
No, ma'am. I did not.
On the Dolce Vita meeting, do you recall what meeting I'm referencing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, was that a restaurant that you met Charlie at after the bump?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in that meeting, and the jury hasn't heard this yet, but he's saying one of two scenarios. This is one of two scenarios. Do you
Yes,
remember that?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
What were the one of two scenarios? What were the two scenarios?
What he was speaking of was probably the FBI
Mhm.
or Tato blackmailing
And by
their
Tato,
family.
you mean Rivera.
Louis Rivera. Yes, ma'am.
Were you concerned about that as well?
Yes, ma'am. I was.
And what did you do to try to figure out who it was that had approached Donna Adelson?
I asked Sigfredo.
So he was supposed to be looking into it.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you there whenever he did whatever he did to try to find out who it was?
Was I where?
Were you present when Sigfredo, I guess, went out and talked to people about whether?
No, ma'am. I was not.
Because at that time, was Rivera in custody?
Yes, ma'am. He was. Yeah, he was already doing his federal sentence, I believe.
So was the concern that maybe some of his associates might have done this?
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe he had run his mouth about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you reviewed
Yeah, the
what I had
difference
marked for you as
in,
State's Exhibit
Katie,
111, the Dolce
her
Vita
trial,
recording with the transcript
the
attached?
absolute
Yes, ma'am, I did.
moron. She
And does the transcript in that
tried to
exhibit
make out
accurately
herself to
reflect
be,
the words
and
that were
this
said at that
woman,
meeting between yourself and the defendant?
clear
Yes, ma'am.
difference.
Yes, I do enjoy that she understands
defendant
context now because that was
described
painful in the last
bump
trial.
to you.
Yeah.
Strike. When you were speaking with Charlie Adelson and also Sigfredo Garcia about this bump, did you speak in code?
Yes, ma'am. I did.
And what was the purpose of speaking in code?
Kind of just piggybacked with what Charlie was speaking to me in code. So I kind of was like, okay, if he's talking in codes, kind of speaking codes as well.
Was the concern that the calls could be being recorded?
My concern was more that I was at work. So I really didn't want to say any phone numbers out loud or speak of what was going on.
I'm going to approach and show you what I've marked as State's Demonstrative A. Have you seen this before? I don't know if you have.
No, ma'am, I have not.
All right, and it's got several items listed here as code words with the actual meaning next to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you take a moment to and the ones in red are the ones used by you, the ones in yellow are used by Charlie Adelson.
Okay.
Will you review this exhibit and just tell me if it's accurate as far as what the code means?
are they going to play it during her testimony?
Yes, ma'am, it's accurate.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to make use of state's demonstrative A.
Any objection? That's it.
So, if you are here, remember, thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you are
Yes.
subscribed, check it again, because sometimes YouTube decides to unsubscribe you. And that
YouTube.
bell thing for notifications. It doesn't work all the time, but it definitely won't work if you haven't pressed the notification thingy.
All right, Judge, I think we have an agreement with a couple redactions.
Very well. You can go ahead and make those now.
Maybe I can borrow a Sharpie from the clerk.
And this is slated to go 9 days. I mean, they're going through fairly quickly, right?
Yeah, they will. The first two trials were 8 and 9 days. From what I've seen and the pace they have, this will be done by Thursday.
Okay.
So it will conclude this week because they are running through witnesses as crazy. Yeah, and remember to put something in chat because YouTube really likes an active chat. Everything goes together: the thumbs up, even the thumbs down, chat activity. If I gain subscribers during stream, everything counts towards that.
And again, Jerry doesn't heard these calls yet, but when you were talking to Sigfredo Garcia about $65.70, were you referring to the undercover phone number?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And then when you're talking to Charlie about an agent, were you talking about, it seems like you're talking about real estate agent, but are you talking about the undercover agent that approached his mother?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Right. And the CD, was that reference to a recording that the Adelsons made of their contact with the undercover?
A recording of their contact with them,
Yes.
that they were being recorded?
No, that they called the undercover phone
Yes,
number
ma'am.
and recorded it.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever actually hear that recording?
No, ma'am, not until my trial.
And then the client, there's a lot of discussion about this client or this tenant. You need to find out if this is going to be a good tenant or a bad tenant.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the tenant this person, if it really was a blackmailer, this thug that's somehow affiliated with Rivera?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the false lead or the phishing, what did that mean? There's a lot of discussion about, I hope it's just somebody phishing. You remember that?
From the phone calls?
Yes, this is all from the phone call.
Yes, ma'am.
It was one of the two scenarios that it could be law enforcement.
Yes, ma'am. But this was Charlie basically saying this the whole time. He's the one who's coming up with all the scenarios.
Okay, but when he's talking about the scenarios, he's talking about phishing.
Yes,
He
ma'am.
doesn't say law enforcement phishing.
No, ma'am.
He says it could be, a tenant or a patient or something like that.
Anything but what?
Judge, I'm just gonna check the lead.
Jury is the fact finder.
Sustained.
I thought the
You
listing
can
or
say,
the
"Oh, I don't
properties,
believe that."
What did that refer to?
About the paperwork. That's pretty
Looking
accurate.
into a listing.
Yes, a listing, because I worked in a real estate agency at that time. So he was just telling me, look into the listing. Oh, this will be a good investment. So it was really Charlie saying all these words.
What is the good and what might the good investment have been?
If he had a good lead.
If it was a blackmailer that
Yes.
you could pay off.
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, Your Honor, meeting.
Ruled.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. All right. we
Is
talked
this
about the two
judge tending
scenarios.
to go more for the
Before
state,
that,
or have you noticed a pattern?
That was
This judge don't get involved too much unless it's
Okay.
objected to. He doesn't get involved. He does his work before and after, the trial date starts with
Okay.
here's what I expect, here's what you're going to do, and everything, keep in line, everything like that, and then he sits down. I like him.
Okay, I like how he's been doing this too. He doesn't, make a show of what he's doing. He's been setting clear expectations, but I didn't notice because I'm doing newsy news and I have to take breaks, I'm missing some of it. So I didn't notice if you had, I haven't been able to see all of it. So I didn't know if you'd seen a pattern or anything. I hadn't really, but like I said, I haven't been here the whole time. So
The paper that was handed to his mom by the undercover.
On the Dolce restaurant meeting, we see Charlie Adelson pull out a piece of paper. Was that the actual piece of paper that was handed to his mother?
I believe so. I just never saw it. He never showed it to me.
Okay. Did he give you a phone number off of that piece of
He
paper?
did. That was that phone number that we just can't seem to get right. The 6570.
Okay.
If you prefer to watch this at Rumble, I just put the Rumble link to my stream there. I'm trying to build up
At any
a Rumble
time
audience.
after, I know we talked about the night of the money, that you got the money, but at any time after that, did you ever blackmail Charlie Adelson?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you ever threaten him in any way?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you relay any threats on behalf of Sigfredo Garcia?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did anyone ever make you extort any money or other favors out of Charlie Adelson?
No, ma'am.
Before the murder, had you bragged to Garcia and or Rivera about my new rich boyfriend?
I didn't even know he had money like that.
Well,
Ah!
I mean,
He had a good job and, he had a nice house, but I wasn't aware of how, how much money he has.
He
Okay,
was a clear
but he definitely
upgrade.
had more than Sigfredo Garcia.
Oh, yes, ma'am, he did.
Okay. And did you
Well-
brag to Garcia like, oh, I got a new, better
mean,
guy?
I'm pretty sure he saw that I was happy and I was, going out to dinners and hanging out with him. So
Okay. But did you tell
Just
them specifically he's got a lot of money?
all the hell
no, I
around.
did not.
Did you tell them specifically he's got this issue with his sister's ex-husband?
I believe I mentioned it. Yes, I
Okay.
did.
And when you talked to them about he's got this issue with his sister's ex-husband, was that in the context of hiring them to do the murder, or just in?
Just in general.
Okay, so they were aware that he had this issue.
Well, Sigfredo was, yes.
Okay. Did you ever talk to Rivera about it?
No, I did not.
Okay. And when you talked to Sigfredo about it, did he ever say, well, I think I'll just drive to Tallahassee and kill the guy or anything like that?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Is that something he would have mentioned to you if that was his idea?
Sigfredo doesn't say a lot of things to me, and he likes to keep a lot of things away from me. So he would have
Okay.
never asked me that or told me that.
Okay. But in this case, I guess, okay. So is it possible that Sigfredo and Rivera came to Tallahassee and did this killing without any communication from you or Charlie Adelson, just on their own?
No, ma'am.
And then
That would be-
extorted Charlie Adelson through you to get money because they had killed the guy?
No, that'd be impossible. How would they have any information?
Well, they could have seen it on the internet.
No. I don't think so.
The face you make when you realize your plan is falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to, when he goes up to testify, he needs to.
When you were talking
All
about
mistakes
Wendy's
forever.
husband and the problems with him to Sigfredo Garcia,
And if he was
You've already said this, but I just
exported,
want
he
to
would
be
have gone
crystal
to the
clear.
cops.
did you say the name
What's the
Dan
mommy?
Markel?
No, ma'am. I never knew Dan Markel's name.
How was the name Dan Markel, the location and name of the target for this killing, provided to the killers?
I believe it was all the information that was given to Sigfredo, which I got from Charlie, was all in that paper.
Paper provided by this defendant.
Yes, ma'am. Inside the envelope.
Can I have a moment to confer?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cross-examination. Let's see some
Oh, she's going to
fireworks.
get up
Please.
with an attitude.
And you over at Rumble, please hit that thumbs up. Helps my
Yes.
channel over there as well.
Now, you were arrested and charged with the murder of Professor Markel on October 1, 2014. I'm sorry, 2016, correct?
Yes, sir.
Almost immediately, the state talked to your lawyers and offered you full immunity, a get out of jail free card, right?
I don't know if that was immediately.
Pretty soon after you got arrested, you were offered to cooperate against Charlie Adelson and the other Adelsons, and you would get to go home to your kids, right?
Yes, sir.
And your lawyers told you about that offer.
Yes, sir, they did.
You also saw an interview on TV while you were in jail in which one of the prosecutors mentioned this immunity offer, right?
Yes, sir.
You have 2 kids who are your world, right?
Yes, sir.
If you took the state's deal, then you would have been let out of jail immediately, right? That's what your lawyers told you.
If I took their deal? Yes, sir.
But you didn't take the offer.
No, I didn't.
Instead, you stayed in jail for 3 years before your first trial, right?
Yes, sir.
You stayed in jail through COVID after your first trial hung.
Yes, sir.
You still didn't cooperate. Still, the deal was still open, right?
Well, the deal was to give up Charlie,
And you couldn't do that.
because in order to give up Charlie, I had to give up Sigfredo, the father of my children. So I couldn't do that.
So while you're in jail, sitting in jail
Good answer.
during COVID,
That's
you knew there
actually
was
a
still a
good
deal
answer.
possibility open for you, right?
What? Sorry, what you say?
I said actually that the way her voice broke a little bit there,
Yeah.
that's probably the most compelling thing I've heard from her so far.
Yeah. 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 He would rather stay in jail than
I mean, it
because
doesn't
if
make logical sense because both of the parents are both in jail at that point.
yeah.
But I mean, it does
Well,
give you a clue.
she's even
But
though she is more coherent now, she's still not a clever woman.
this is the first thing that I've connected emotionally, that it feels
Yeah.
emotional. And
Mm.
I feel like if he pushes on this point, it's going to look really effing bad for him because she's
Yeah.
going to break down.
Yeah. She had to give up the father of her children, and Charlie, and all of a sudden she gets out completely alone as a snitch against the
Yeah.
Latin king.
Yeah. I think it's going
And
to look
the
really
father
bad
of her
if he,
children and one of the wealthier, multimillionaire family. Yeah, you need more than immunity. You need to relocation program to take one of those deals.
yeah. So I think if there's moms on this is going to feel more authentic. Like I said,
Yeah.
this is the first part of it that hasn't felt not rehearsed, but leading. This is the part where
Leading.
I think if he's going to push it, if he's going to be a dick, this is where it's going to
Yeah.
bite him in the ass. But let's
Yeah.
continue. Sorry.
You still take a deal.
Now I'm
Your
in-
lawyers told you that.
Before COVID, after my mistrial,
Yes.
I believe so.
And you still didn't take the deal, right?
No.
Charlie Adelson didn't force you to take the deal, not take the deal, right?
No, I had no communication with Charlie.
He didn't pay for your attorneys.
He didn't pay for my attorneys, but there was word that my brother declined him paying for my attorneys.
Ma'am.
I had anything to do with him.
I know you have an agenda here, but just answer my questions.
Yes, sir.
Did Charlie Adelson pay for your attorneys?
No, sir, he did not.
Did anyone in the Adelson family pay for your attorneys?
No, sir.
Did anyone in the Adelson family pay any money to your kids?
No, sir.
You had nothing to do with Charlie Adelson, right? After the bump.
No, sir, I did not.
Then how is she extorting
Now,
him?
The real reason
Yeah.
you didn't cooperate, and you made it clear, is because Charlie Adelson had absolutely nothing to do with the murder of Professor Markel. Isn't that the case?
I didn't cooperate because in order to give up Charlie, I'd have to give up Sigfredo.
Well, let's talk about the testimony in your first trial. And don't worry, we're going to get to your proffers as well.
Okay.
Let's talk about the testimony in your first trial. You were asked, did you get the father of your children, Mr. Garcia, to commit a murder on behalf of Mr. Charlie Adelson? Answer, no, ma'am. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, sir.
You were asked, do you have information that Charlie Adelson was involved in this? Answer, do I have information? I don't have personal information. Do you recall that?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't recall saying that in your first trial?
No, sir, I do not.
Would you like to see a transcript of it?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, I don't like the I know you have agenda comments. Again, I understand that he has to be a vigorous defendant of his
I'll
client.
direct your attention to page 2800, lines 1 through 5.
And she's explained her reasoning.
Does that refresh your recollection? That that's
Yes.
what you said?
Yes, sir, it does.
During your second trial, do you recall being asked, Charlie didn't ask you to do anything weird? Answer, no, ma'am. Like get someone to get a hitman to commit a murder of his ex-brother-in-law? No, ma'am. Do you recall those questions and that answer?
Yes, sir, I do.
Because you couldn't implicate Charlie, you went to trial, and the first trial hung. Isn't that the case?
Yes, sir.
A few weeks before your second trial, Charlie was arrested. Isn't
Yes,
that the case?
Yes, sir.
The state waited and waited and waited for you to cooperate, and then they arrested him on the eve of your trial when you made it clear you weren't going to cooperate, right?
Yes, sir.
So you went to trial the second time, and this time you were convicted.
Yes, sir.
And you were convicted of first-degree murder and other charges, right?
Yes, sir.
A few weeks after your conviction, you were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus another 30 years. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And you were transferred from the jail in Leon County to the state prison where you would spend the rest of your life, right?
Yes, sir.
Away from your family,
Yes, sir.
away from your children.
Yes, sir.
And you realize that there are only 2 ways to get out of that prison, right?
What are the 2 ways?
Well, one way was in a coffin, right?
Yes, sir.
And the other way was cooperating against Charlie Adelson, right?
No, sir. I wanted the truth to finally come out.
What are the only 2 ways that you can ever get out of prison, Miss Magbanua?
My appeal?
Oh, well, we'll get to that too. You have an appeal pending right now, right?
Yes, sir.
That claims that you're innocent.
Yes, sir.
Let's just make this clear to the jury. Ms. Kaplan has called you as a witness against this man who's presumed innocent. You've just testified that you did a murder, and you have an appeal pending right now in this county claiming your innocence. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
And lo and behold, weeks after you were convicted and sentenced to life with no parole,
Oh, well,
you went in and met with the state, right?
Yes, sir.
And you met with them
they're
not
paying
once,
this
but
guy
twice.
money
Yes, sir.
to defend him.
and you met with them for hours,
Yes, sir.
a combined total of around 6 hours, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, we're going to get into that and all the lies that Ms. Koppelman didn't go through with you that you made during those interviews, but let's go back to the first trials first, okay? In each of those trials, you took the stand for your own defense, right?
Yes, sir.
And you took the same oath and looked at different jurors the same way that you look today, right?
Yes, sir.
And in your second trial, not only did you take an oath in this room, but isn't it true that you tried to get Sigfredo to lie for you?
No, sir, I did not.
Isn't it true that you were caught on a recording in the prison in which you were going to have Sigfredo Garcia come into your trial, your second trial, and say that he did the murder with Charlie Adelson all by himself?
No, sir.
You never were on a recording of
Never
that
said
fact.
that.
Your plan at your second trial wasn't to have Sigfredo Garcia testify on your behalf?
No, sir.
Are you aware that your lawyer opened up on that plan?
No,
In her
sir, I'm not
opening?
aware. No.
Well, did you sit through the trial?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you sit through the trial when she said to the jury, you're going to hear from Sigfredo Garcia, who's going to say that the murder was between him and Charlie Adelson, and that you're just a victim of having bad taste in men?
He never came up.
He refused to come and testify, right?
I don't know if he refused. He was never called.
Are you aware that you and your lawyer subpoenaed him to come down to Leon County to testify on your behalf?
He was subpoenaed, but he just never showed up.
And he didn't
He never
show
took
up?
the stand.
Right. He was subpoenaed by you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you got on the phone with him. You were caught because you're not supposed to talk to each other, right?
Yes, sir.
But you guys talk to each other because what you do is you call his mom, right?
Yes, sir.
And he calls his mom. Isn't that what you all do?
At that time, yes, sir.
Yeah, you call each other so that you could talk to each other through the mom. And during one of those calls, you asked him to come testify on your behalf. Isn't that what you did?
No, I did not ask him.
Okay. But we'll move on to some other lies.
When a lawyer says we will move on to other, if he doesn't come back to this, that is just to make the notion to the jury that if I will come back to it, that gives the notion that he has evidence. Now, if he doesn't come back to it, then it's just misleading towards the jury. Now, you can do it once, twice, 3 times. Wait a minute, when is he coming back to it? 4 times? Hold on here. You have to be really, really careful with I'll get back on that. I will come back to you on that. Because if he doesn't, that means he has jack shit. He's just implying. And
Well,
I hope
my problem with his entire style is that I think the jury is coming into this knowing that she lied in her first trials. I
Yeah.
mean, she basically just said, yes, I lied and this and that.
Yeah.
You know, so to attack her on that, you're going to make her sympathetic to this jury possibly. And his tone, I just don't like his tone. And this might be a personal thing. His condescending snarkiness is not my thing. Some people might really like it, but
he kind of reminds me of the angry gnome in the Jodi Arias trial, the prosecutor.
Yes, and it's just for Charlie to win this case, you have to make him sympathetic. You have to make him the victim. You have to make him the victim of these conniving, social climbing, devious, terrible, people that would use him for money and then, try to embroil him in this sinister scheme. So
he is very passionate. He should be passionate, but he is one-toned in always, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you. And that sometimes you use that tone in negotiations, mitigations, if you are with an especially heinous opponent, but not one-toned. You have to stay calm, stay reserved, and then kaboom, and then back. Kaboom, and then back. Not, it's, yeah, but let's continue so we can through this.
sorry.
Oh, no worries. This is a commentary channel.
During your first trial, you were asked. You didn't ask Mr. Garcia to help this lady get her kids back in Tallahassee. Answer, no, ma'am. You didn't solicit him to commit a murder of Dan Markel. Answer, no, ma'am. Do you recall those questions and answers?
Yes, sir.
You were asked, well, back then, did you know someone by the name of Dan Markel? Answer, no, ma'am. In 2014, you learned that Wendy Adelson's divorce was already finalized, right? I learned that in court. I didn't know it before. Do you remember those words? Those were lies, right?
Yes, I lied in my trials to save myself.
We'll keep going. You lied when you said that Charlie told you that Professor Markel had been in an accident, right?
I lied that. Say it again, sir.
Well, I'll ask you the questions. Do you remember having a conversation with Charlie Adelson about his brother-in-law being in an accident? Does that sound familiar to you? It sounds familiar. Yeah, that was a lie, right?
No, that's what Charlie said.
He told you that he was in an accident. He didn't tell you that there was a murder?
No, he told me he was in an accident.
So you didn't know about the murder of Dan Markel on July 18th. Is that what you're telling this jury?
No, not at that time.
When did you find out about the murder of Dan Markel?
It was later on.
Oh, really? So the money that you brought to the guys that Ms. Kappelman brought up on opening, the money you brought up to the guys on July 19th, was because Dan Markel was in an accident?
I didn't know that was Dan Markel. Like, I didn't know his name.
Oh.
But there was a murder that happened, yes.
At the March 11th dinner that you had with Mr. Lacoste at Yardbird, Dan Markel's name wasn't mentioned?
No, sir.
Would it surprise you that Mr. Lacoste has testified to the opposite of that?
No, I haven't seen his testimony.
Well, you called,
At your
Jeffrey
first
a
trial,
liarton
you
who
were
lies
asked-
too. So
Did Charlie mention anything to you about a murder out of Tallahassee? So now it's not Dan Markel. It's just a murder out of Tallahassee. And your answer was no, ma'am. Question, did he mention anything about his ex-brother-in-law being murdered? Answer, no, ma'am. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, sir.
And those were lies, right?
Yes, I told you I lied. I lied in my trials to save myself.
I understand. Please let me keep going through them. There's a lot of them, so we'll take our time.
Yes, sir.
Now, you said you never saw any cash at Charlie's place. Do you recall that at trial?
He had cash, but I didn't know how much he had. I know he keeps cash in his safe.
But I thought you just testified moments ago that you never saw cash at his place. That he didn't keep cash at his place. That supposedly his parents had to bring the cash. Isn't that what you just told this jury about 18 minutes ago?
An abundance of cash.
Have you seen a safe?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever seen it open?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't he keep a lot of cash that he collects on the top of his safe?
I mean, I'm not like looking in it, but every single time we used to go out, he used to grab some money from the safe and then take it with him.
Repeatedly during both trials, you said you worked at the Adelson Institute. You never worked at the Adelson Institute,
No,
right?
sir, I did not.
Now we're going to hear about a Lexus.
We are
Yes, sir.
at
You said
Sunny
you paid
Watch.
for that Lexus. You never paid for that Lexus. Is that
I
the case?
paid Charlie cash for that Lexus.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I think the state might disagree with you. Has the state disagreed with you on that point?
About me paying him cash? Yes, because there was nothing that was coming out of my account, but I paid him cash. I had the cash on me.
she got it from her bra. Be quiet. It was the one boob he didn't.
During the
pay.
trial, the first trial, you were
She
asked,
paid
do you
him
know
in
why it is
a
that
$1
Charlie
bill.
chose you out of all of his
It was a
ex-girlfriends to
hand
call?
job. Be quiet.
I don't know why he called me.
Oral
Do you recall those
services.
questions?
Yes, sir.
That was a lie, right?
I told you I lied in my first and second trial to save myself.
Well, let's get to the second trial. Just like you're lying here to save yourself, right?
I'm not saving myself. I'm telling the truth this time.
Right, because now all of a sudden, after 8 years, you have developed a conscience. I think that's what you told the jury.
No, it's because the father of my children was on death penalty at that time on my first trial. So I couldn't give up. If it was just Charlie, like I said from the trial, go ahead and arrest him. Nobody ever did.
He didn't get the death penalty after the first trial, and he was convicted, right?
Yes, sir.
And by the time of his second trial, you had no reason to protect him anymore. He was done.
No, sir. He was under appeal.
Okay, just like you're under appeal now.
Yes, sir.
So what you said to this jury about 20 minutes ago is you said to this jury, I'm here today to tell the truth, and I want to get your exact words. Because I want to do the right thing.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it because you want to go home? And that's the only way that you could ever go home is to help them. That's the only way you can go home, by not being dead.
I was not promised anything. I'm doing this solely on myself. Clearly, you don't even see my attorneys in this room.
Let's talk about the second trial.
Oh,
I like that.
yeah.
I actually do like that
yeah.
she's fighting back.
Yeah, but that's a two-edged sword, because one reason can be if her lawyers, they have an ethical obligation, if she is knowingly, if they know she's not telling the truth, they have an ethical responsibility to make the court aware of that. So that can also be why they are not in court, because then they don't hear it. So,
I'm typing this so Sonny can.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. This is alleged that Charlie was selling stuff at the gym, utilizing his prescription pad and oral surgeon credentials. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of. I mean, we are talking about a fuck ton of money in cash. Even in 2012, 2014, 2016, That's not normal to have that amount of cash unless you're actively hiding it. Or if you are, I mean, there's a lot of Americans that doesn't trust banks of obvious reasons, but Charlie, he has a bank account. That's where he puts his legal money, and then he has a safe. Yeah, I like that she's staying calm. That's yes, Haley, fighting back, staying calm.
Yeah, she's
Again-
also advocating, but not being snarky like he is.
Yeah.
You lied when you testified that you didn't know anything about or were involved in the murder of Professor Markel, right?
Yes, sir. I told you I lied in my first and second trial to save myself.
Ma'am, we've heard it. If you could just answer the questions. Did
Yes,
you
sir.
lie?
Yes, sir.
You lied when you testified that you knew nothing about Wendy's divorce, Wendy Adelson's divorce.
Yes, sir.
You lied when you said you didn't pick up money from Charlie's house on July 18th.
Yes, sir.
You lied when you said you knew nothing about stapled cash.
Yes, sir.
You lied when you said you didn't bring the money to Sigfredo or Luis Rivera the next day.
Yes, sir.
You lied again when you said you worked as a personal assistant for Charlie, right?
Yes, sir.
You lied repeatedly when you tried to discuss what had happened, what was being spoken at Dolce Vita, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, now let's talk about the lies that you told that the state didn't go over with you. Let's talk about your proffers, your cooperation.
Yes, sir.
So you were interviewed by the state twice in October and November 2022, correct?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, you've met with them a couple times since then, right?
A couple times,
Have you met with them
After?
since? Yeah, after that point?
probably one time.
You met with Ms. Kappelman?
Yes, yes, sir.
Did Ms. Kappelman ask you about our defense during that meeting?
No, sir.
She didn't ask you about whether, for the first time, whether you ever threatened
No,
Charlie
sir.
Adelson? Now, when you met with them in October and November of 2022, this was after you got your life sentence, right?
Yes, sir.
And you met with them first in Marion County Jail on October 11th, right?
Marion County Jail? No, sir. I've never been in that county.
You met with them in the jail. I got the wrong jail, obviously.
I've never met with them in any jails.
Where did you meet with them?
I
We
was
need to
already
catch up
in
because
DOC.
Sonny is
Okay.
writing
met
about
with
what's
them in
happening
prison.
now.
Yes, sir.
We are
Apologies.
7 minutes
And the
behind.
second time, you met with them at the state attorney's office, right? Here in Tallahassee.
Yes, sir.
And both times, Special Agent Sanford was there,
Yes, sir.
Investigator Jason Newland was there,
Yes, sir.
and TPD Investigator Sherry Bennett were there.
Yes, sir.
And they asked you questions.
Yes, sir.
Trying
And
1.5.
each time, you told them a version of events that was very different from what you said at your trials, right?
Yes, sir.
In fact, during those 6 hours of interviews, you told them about 5 more versions, right?
5 different versions of it?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Oh, so you told them the same thing throughout the 6 hours that you met with them?
I believe so, but I think the first time you can't even visit more than 2 hours, so I don't know where you're getting 6 hours.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Let's look. The first interview started at 9:26 a.m. and it ended at 11:44 a.m., so a little over 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
First interview. Your position right now, what you're telling this jury, is that the same thing you told them in the first interview, you told them in the second interview?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
You believe so or you know so?
I know so. I believe so. I believe
You
so.
absolutely know so.
No, I don't, not verbatim exactly what I said.
Is it true that during the entire first interview, you said you had nothing to do with the murder?
No, sir, I didn't say that.
All right, well, we're going to go through exact quotes and we'll see if your memory can be refreshed.
Yes, sir.
By the way, during any of these interviews, did you give them any documentation, anything new, any text messages, documentation, WhatsApps, any new, as people call it, receipts? Did you give them any new evidence?
No, I'm in prison. I don't have anything.
It was just your words, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about what you said. During the first proffer, which was a little over 2 hours,
Yes, sir.
you raised your hand. They put you under oath, right?
Yes, sir.
And throughout the proffer, the agents, particularly Special Agent Sanford, kept on telling you that you have to tell the truth, right?
Yes, sir.
He didn't believe you.
I mean, whatever his reasons are.
Was he
No.
frustrated with you during the interview?
Yes, sir.
In fact, 1 hour and 8 minutes into the proffer, he said to you that you were minimizing your involvement.
What is the objection?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Yeah, if the defense attorney wants to ask questions about an officers, he need to ask that officer. Okay, time to catch up a bit.
Entire proffer, right? Your position, what you told this jury is you were completely consistent. You told the same story during the entire proffer, right?
I can't, like I told you, I can't remember verbatim what I've said from the first proffer and the second proffer.
Let's just talk about the first proffer.
Yes, sir.
Your view is that from the beginning of the first proffer to the end of the first proffer, you said the same thing throughout. That's what you're telling this jury.
From the first proffer to the second proffer that I'm saying the same exact thing. I don't remember verbatim what I've said.
How about from the beginning of the first proffer to the end of the first proffer? What you told the jury is you were consistent from the beginning of the first proffer to the end of the first proffer. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, sir.
Is that still your testimony?
No, that I was consistent about it? No, because it was very hard for me to confess what I've done.
So let me ask the question again.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that during the first proffer, for the first 1 hour and 8 minutes, you continued to say that you didn't murder Professor Markel?
No, sir, I didn't say that.
I don't understand your answer. So let me rephrase.
Okay.
Isn't it true that for the first half of the first proffer, you denied participation in the murder of Professor Markel?
No, sir, I was telling him what happened and how my involvement in it.
So your position is that throughout the entire first proffer, you admitted that you participated in the murder of Professor Markel.
Yes, sir.
Judge, may I proceed now? Would it surprise you that 1 hour and 8 minutes into the first proffer, Special Agent Sanford said that you were minimizing your involvement in Professor Markel's murder?
Like he stated, I was minimizing it. It was hard for me to confess everything that I've suppressed for the past 7 years.
11 minutes later, he said that what you were telling him made absolutely no sense. Do you recall him saying that?
No, sir, I did not.
Let me see if I can show you.
I'm playing it to 1.5 so we can catch up a bit.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. But he is, she is explaining one thing. Okay, it took a while before I started because it took.
Does it make sense? I'll withdraw it. Does this refresh your recollection of what Agent Sanford said?
Just the line that you highlighted?
You can read before and after to make sure I'm not doing lawyer tricks.
Yes, sir. Can I?
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Could he? Oh, yeah, he does sound more annoying in fastness, but yeah. But
well, her story is consistent in that what she's trying to explain.
okay,
While
now
he
I'm
is trying to say you have to be from the moment you sat down, you confessed. That's your testimony.
Okay.
And her testimony is no. I'm consistent in that it was hard for me to start telling the truth.
So he's trying to do a binger where, like,
Yeah.
okay, so when you murdered those people, this is what happened.
Yes,
Instead,
Agent Sanford
she's
said that
trying
I
to.
might not remember conversations, specific conversations, and I told him I can't recall those specific conversations.
Was he telling you that what you were saying didn't make sense to him?
No, object to what Agent Sanford said or his opinions.
Sustain, please lay the foundation to impeach specifically.
At some point in the interview, did he walk out on you?
Yes, he did on the second interview.
Yeah, okay. We're going to get to that. That's like 4 hours into your combined interviews, right?
I believe so.
Right? So you come back, and I think it's over an hour into the second interview. So actually, my math isn't great. It's like 3.5 hours into interviewing. Agent Sanford gets so upset.
But I'm going to object to Agent Sanford's opinions.
I'll
or
rephrase.
actions or words.
He's withdrawing the question. Please move on.
Around 3 hours into these interviews, Agent Sanford decides to leave the room, right?
Yes, sir.
He was frustrated with you, right?
I believe so.
Truthfully, during your first interview, you kept on saying all of these things were jumbled in your head, right?
Yes, sir.
You said that about 11 times. Do you recall that?
I don't recall how many times I said it. No, sir.
You said that eventually, 33 minutes into the interview, you said you arranged through an envelope that Charlie gave you, but that you never opened it for Sigfredo to rough up Professor Markel. Do you recall saying that?
Repeat the question.
33 minutes into the interview,
Yes, sir.
you admitted that you arranged through an envelope that Charlie gave you, but that you never opened
Yes, sir.
for Sigfredo to rough up Professor Markel. Do you recall that?
I've never said Professor Markel's name.
To rough up the deceased.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain?
You told them 33 minutes into the interview
Yes.
that Charlie had given you an envelope that you had never opened, that miraculously got to Sigfredo Garcia, and the purpose of it was to rough up his ex-brother-in-law.
No, because I didn't know what the contents of what was in the envelope, so I wouldn't have said that.
You said that somehow that plan had transitioned to murder But according to what you told investigators, you never knew when that happened. Do you recall saying that?
Repeat the question again, sir.
You said that somehow the rough up plan had transitioned to murder.
I never said rough up or any of those words. That's why it's confusing me
All
what
right,
you're
well,
stating.
let's say it again.
Yes,
You
sir.
said that somehow the plan had transitioned to murder. But according to what you told investigators, you never knew when that transition happened.
Well, at that time, I didn't know.
At the time that you were
No,
interviewed?
not in my interview, but when it was happening as they're interviewing me and we're going through the scenario.
I'm going to show you 186 to 187.
And he is asking questions not verbatim. From he's not saying what the exact questions were or what her exact answer was.
You told
That is,
investigators during your first
that's
interview,
a normal tactic.
2 hours into it, 2 hours and 1 minute to be exact,
Yes, sir.
that you never spoke to Charlie about the change in plans,
I never spoke to Charlie about the change in plans.
meaning it's going to become a murder.
I'm confused about the questions you're asking. Is this what I said?
Yes, what you said to these investigators just a year ago after you were convicted for life, didn't you tell investigators you didn't know it was going to be a murder?
When we were talking about this, like I said, it was hard for me to confess my involvement in this.
Right, so
Can
you,
you show me where I said this?
let's just go with what you just said.
Yes, sir.
So 2 hours into your first interview, when you said this, you still were not admitting that you had a part in the murder.
Yes, it was very hard for me to do this, especially that they came to me in prison where,
Right.
why are all these investigators coming in?
Okay, so we are now where we started, which is during this first proffer, just a year ago, under oath again, you refused to admit at first that you had anything to do with the murder, that you were a part of the murder.
Yes,
think
sir. Yes.
Okay.
It's hard for me to admit it. Yes, sir, it is. It's still hard for me to admit it right now.
Okay. During your first proffer, 9 minutes and 14 seconds into it, do you recall being asked the following questions? And as you saw in trial, Garcia and Rivera made a trip in June. What can you tell us about that? Answer. See, like I don't even remember. I mean, obviously, like you're telling me to, like, remember from what I heard at trial, I learned a lot of things from trial. That's why it's so hard. And I want to say the right thing, but like, I don't remember them going up on a first trip. Do you recall saying that during this proffer?
I don't recall it. If you could show it to me.
You know, it is funny to see her use the same tactics that she used against the state in her first trial,
Yeah.
and he's getting Twitter baited.
Yeah, don't stand in between her and the jury.
Does that refresh your recollection that you said that?
Yes, sir.
You were asked during your proffer on page 68, I don't know how long into it, probably about a third into it. Question, before that trip, you knew that Lewis was going to go with him on that trip. Answer, no, I never knew he was going with him. Do you recall answering that way?
Yes, sir.
You also said during that proffer,
There's over 20 people over at Rumble. Yay! Hit that thumbs up and say something in the chat. So Rumble thing is, yeah, all the Rumble thingies. Thank you for showing up. Thank you so much.
Yes. And I will learn
63
how to
minutes
link
in.
Rumble in like this week. I'm working on it. It's my goal. I always have a
Yep.
tech goal every week. You might not realize it, but I do. It
We are
might
soon
not-
caught up as well.
that you didn't know Luis Rivera was going on the second trip to Tallahassee. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, sir.
During that interview on page 83, you told investigators, this is just a year ago, that on the night of July 18th, you didn't know that Charlie's brother-in-law had been shot.
Can you show me that, sir?
Sure.
And I just saw that the trial of Caitlin Armstrong will not be televised or streamed. That means that Dave is a trial short.
Yes, because I'm emphasizing I don't know Dan Markel.
Poor Dave.
You said that you didn't know that Dan Markel had been shot, right?
Yes, sir.
You told that to investigators a year ago. That's what, on that night, you had no idea that there was a shooting.
Yes, I was partly denying probably still my involvement in it. This is something I've suppressed for a long time, sir.
Now, what's also interesting is when you described July 18th, you said Charlie was panicked.
Yes, sir.
You said he took his Xanax and you took his Xanax.
Yes, sir. He gave me.
You said that he was upset.
I never said he was upset. He was just frantic.
Synonyms, antonyms.
Let's move on to the
It's hard
second proffer.
Remember
Yes, sir.
words.
The second proffer was 6 weeks after the first proffer. You recall that?
This is when I came back. I came here.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
And you met with investigators for 3.5 hours this time,
If that's what it states.
from 10:06 in the morning to 1:38 in the afternoon.
Yes, sir.
At the beginning of the interview, you told investigators you didn't know why you were there, right?
Yes, I didn't know what I got pulled out for.
And 15 minutes into the interview, Agent Sanford left the room, right?
Yes, sir.
He didn't come back.
No, sir.
During the interview, you recall being told that you weren't giving the state anything to make them want to do anything for you.
Repeat that question, sir.
Do you recall that during the interview, you were told that you weren't giving the state anything to make them want to do anything for you?
Who stated that?
Investigator Bennett.
Okay, yes, sir.
She was upset.
I mean, we were just talking about the same thing over again.
When she said that you had a real issue, right?
Not that I can recall. What's the issue?
Well, if you didn't help the state and give them something that they could work with, there was only one way you were ever getting out of prison, and that's in a box.
Why do you keep stating that, sir?
You're in jail for the rest of your life, right?
Yes, sir.
If the state doesn't help you, the only way you're getting out of prison is when you die.
But they never said they were going to help me. I wasn't promised.
That's not my
anything.
question. What's the only way that you're getting out of prison if the state doesn't help you?
Asked and answered. Asked and answered. Prosecution.
State, where are you?
Yeah, prosecution.
Unless the state is not worried about this. and
During
they
the
can
second
read about
proffer,
all of this.
They asked you,
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that you had no clue that he came to Tallahassee? Answer, he told me he never told me he was going to Tallahassee. Do you recall saying that you didn't know that Sigfredo Garcia was going to Tallahassee?
Yes, sir. I never knew he went to Tallahassee.
You never knew Sigfredo Garcia went to Tallahassee?
No, sir.
Okay.
Morning, Anne.
Her faces. She is now purposely.
During these proffers, you never
made
told the
that
state about
face
monthly
with
payments,
the
did you?
State.
Monthly payment.
What?
She made that face with the state where she purposely didn't hear or understand
Mm.
things. She is now doing the I don't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth thing that my kids do when I'm asking them a question,
Yeah.
designed to irritate the ever living snot out of the person. And he
Mm.
is falling for the bait.
Yeah, he is. But also, it is his own that because instead of using her exact words, then he asked a question. Do you remember this sentence? And she answers, no, who said that? And then he says, well, that was Officer what's his face. I mean, he's quite conniving here by trying to get her.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't be doing what I would think is like, okay, in this version of the story, you said this. What changed from this time when you said I had nothing to do with it whatsoever to this?
Yeah.
Well, what changed in your life to where, okay, I get that you've,
Mm.
found Jesus or whatever you do in jail, but,
Mm.
why now? Why now? Why now? What are you hoping to get out of this? But again, he's not getting to the heart of their I mean, unless they're planning to get to the extortion, he hasn't touched on that, which would I think be his first thing that you'd want to get in because that's such a bombshell.
Yeah.
You have to make her into a monster. Her Sigfredo, and it's like what Dave always talks about. You have to make someone the monster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least with a case this complex and with what they're trying to sell, that, he was a poor, rich man who got bamboozled and connived against.
Yeah, by one. I mean, none of the three who are convicted can be described as geniuses.
Yeah.
He is the smart one, and he didn't call the cops when, hey, why are you trying to get money out of me? What's going on here? Blah 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 blah. I'm going to tell mommy.
Yeah.
And they can afford lawyers and everything. Okay, this is what you need to do step by step. They are the Adelsons are the clever ones. These three, I mean, the way the defense is, they are making out these three idiots as criminal masterminds.
Yeah.
And they
it's not
clearly are
paying
not.
off.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even the way she's answering questions, it's just it's anathema to what they're trying to sell as far as, this woman helped bamboozle this man and continued to extort him for almost a year.
Yeah.
It just it doesn't go with what reality is. But that's just me. And, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
I do
Well,
wonder how she's going to ask for an appeal now that she's, gotten on stand and said that she's basically guilty.
Well,
but,
yeah, I mean, she probably has a better shot of the prosecution giving a good word regarding anything than through appeal. Yeah, let's continue.
That Charlie was making monthly payments to you.
What, the checks from the Adelson Institute?
Yes.
They were aware of that.
How about the cash he was giving you every month?
He wasn't giving me any cash every month.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He wasn't giving you $2,000 of cash every single month that you're heard on the wires trying to accept?
No, sir.
He was just giving you an Adelson Institute check?
Yes, sir. What would the $2,000 be for?
Before he gave you the Adelson Institute checks, you were getting $3,000 a month, right?
No, sir.
if he paid her in
Well,
cash,
the first
It wasn't until 1 hour and 13 minutes in the first proffer that you.
the first appeal is not about evidence. It is about what happened during the trial. Like prosecutorial misconduct, wrong rulings from the judge, stuff like that. So that's the first appeal. So her testimony here has more or less nothing to do with the first appeal. It will, if she continues to appeal, new evidence will arise and stuff like that. And maybe she can appeal the sentence if they can show that she was, well, more or less, if Charlie gets convicted, then she might appeal the sentence. But yeah, let's continue.
First admitted that you didn't work for the Adelson Institute, right?
Yes, sir. I lied about it.
In the proffer.
In the proffer, I don't know when I said it, but I lied in my trials about getting those checks from the Adelson Institute. So I said those were checks that I needed to show so that I can get insurance for my children.
You recall them asking you about a meeting with Charlie in the car before Dolce Vita?
Yes, sir.
And you said that you couldn't recall what was discussed?
Yes, sir.
You recall that during the second proffer, you told the state that you didn't know the police were at your door during the wire? And if you had known they were at the door, you would have let them in?
I don't think I mentioned it in that way, but they didn't announce themselves when they were knocking on the door.
In fact, aren't we going to see in wires that you were hiding from the police?
I was not hiding. I was at home.
Weren't you hiding at home?
From what? I was working from home that day.
Who was that running?
Weren't you making a bunch of phone calls to a lot of people saying the police are at my door? I don't know what to do. I can't answer the door. I'm afraid. Weren't you hiding from them?
Somebody was knocking at the door. They didn't state who they were. So I was calling Sigfredo and nobody was picking up. Then one of his coworkers finally called back and said that there's FBI over there speaking to him and he's going to come by the house.
And he came by the house?
Yes.
And you all discussed how you were going to stay hidden and not answer the door, right?
I didn't discuss anything. They just said that there was like an FBI agent or an agent outside. So
and
I just
you
never
decided
answered.
not to answer the door and let them in, right?
No, why would I let them in?
Let me make sure that we're being clear here.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that the police were outside your door?
I didn't know who was outside my door. I didn't know until his coworker had stated that there was an undercover or an agent outside.
And after he stated that, did you know that there was police outside your door?
They were gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they knocked and then they were gone.
You didn't stay hidden for over 45 minutes
No,
while
sir.
these phone calls are happening?
I was at home. I just didn't open the door.
Okay.
Well,
during the entire first proffer, and two
if somebody knocks on your door, you don't expect visitors, you can't see them.
I wouldn't open the door.
I mean, if somebody knocked on my door here, I would open a window because I'm on the second floor. All right, show yourself. And if it's somebody I don't know, okay, what do you want? We are here to talk about God. Oh, okay. Wait a minute, and I'll be right there. And then I close the window, and then I don't know, go take a shit or something.
I usually
They
say I
can
already
wait.
have one in my closet. Or they ask for the man in the house, and I say she's working at the mines. I mean, you know,
Okay, Katie has a college degree from USF. Having a college degree, it does not equal intelligence sometimes.
yeah, you know, as a
Mm.
proud college dropout twice removed, I can say that I
Yeah,
feel a little bit better about that
well,
now that I know.
if the union hadn't paid for my law degree, I wouldn't have a law degree. I
Well,
would
you
have
know,
been a simple food tech engineer making demands for what is supposed to be on food labels. That was more or less my goal. Okay, that's a good job, good government job in food tech, getting into the government, and then sit there for the rest of my life telling companies what the labels have to include.
I was going to be a middle school teacher, probably a
Oh,
drunk middle school teacher.
we would have read about you today.
Probably. Well, I wouldn't have been
What's it?
seducing your sons. I'm more of a silver fox hunter. I would have been seducing their dads.
Oh,
So, you know, God works in mysterious ways.
yep. And here we are. Oh,
2/3 of the second proffer, you never said that Charlie did it or ordered it. Isn't that true?
Not specifically, no.
Now, today you come in here and you talk about how on Halloween, Charlie asked you if there was someone who could hurt his ex-brother-in-law, right?
I stated that on the proffer.
That's fine.
Yes, sir.
It took you a while to state it in the proffer, but I admit you did. It took you about an hour and 40 minutes. But today, that's what your testimony was, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know that
Okay.
you had only started dating
He's
Charlie Adelson
mathing.
about 2
Is
weeks
he
before
really a
Halloween?
lawyer?
Probably. We just started talking. I don't know specifically if it was 2 weeks.
Do you know that at the time of Halloween 2013, Charlie Adelson had absolutely no idea anything about your ex?
I wouldn't know, sir.
Well, let me see if I can refresh your memory.
yeah, but if she looked through the people
Do you recall
some
text
window,
messages in
they would know she
November
was there.
27th of 2013, where you
You
said
just-
to?
And
Okay.
please show the witness the document.
But let me ask some questions first. Isn't it true that Charlie Adelson didn't know about your ex until November 27th, 2013?
I wouldn't know, sir.
And even then, he didn't know much about him?
I wouldn't know.
Let me approach with, what number is it? Defense Exhibit 34. You have it. Text messages.
What am I looking at, sir?
These text messages between you and Charlie Adelson.
I mean, and if she's just starting dating a new guy,
Does that refresh your recollection that he didn't know about your ex until at the earliest, November 27th, 2013?
Yes, sir.
Halloween's in October, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you talk about this letter and Charlie printing it up. In all the times in Charlie's house, you ever see him? Does he have a computer? He doesn't own a computer, right?
He had a little office in his house, but I don't know if there was a computer or not. I don't recall.
Do you recall during these interviews that the investigators kept on pushing you whether Charlie gave you money during the trips?
Repeat the question, sir.
Do you recall during these interviews that the investigators kept on pushing you, asking you a lot of questions about whether Charlie Adelson gave you any money before the two men took the trips?
Yes, and I answered them.
I know you did.
Okay.
And it took you 22 minutes left in the second proffer where you finally said he gave you a few $100s before each trip.
Yes, sir.
Repeatedly before then, you couldn't even remember that, right? You were confused as you said it.
No, I could remember it. It was just very hard when I was speaking, especially when I was speaking with Sergeant Sanford in the room because he was frustrated with me. So once he left the room, it was an easier conversation to have and I wasn't so pressured.
It was an easier conversation to have because, in fact, Investigator Bennett started to play the part of Katie Magbanua, right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well,
sir.
she started to testify for you.
No, sir, she did not.
It wasn't mostly her talking and you saying yes?
No, sir.
Isn't it true that it wasn't until an hour and 16 minutes and 31 seconds into the second proffer where you were still continuing to say that you didn't become aware that this was going to be a murder until sometime between the first and second trips to Tallahassee?
Yes, sir. I told you it was very hard for me to admit my part in all of this. I'm sorry.
So 4 hours into your proffer.
Yeah. Remember about 45 minutes ago, he said we will get back to that. Still
And we
hasn't.
haven't.
And we haven't.
No, it's almost like we don't.
Never. We never will.
Beginning to feel
You were still
lied
saying
to.
that you didn't know the first trip was for a murder. That's fair to say, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go on to a little different subject. You started dating Sigfredo Garcia.
Yeah. And now
just
he's
after high school.
changing the subject.
By the time you broke up with him,
Never got back.
you had been with Sigfredo on and off for more than a decade.
Yes, sir.
By the way, when you dated Charlie Adelson, he thought you were broken up with Sigfredo Garcia, right?
I was broken up with him.
Well, did you have sexual relations with Sigfredo Garcia while dating Charlie Adelson?
Yes, I did.
Charlie didn't know that, right?
I mean, that's not something I would tell him.
Now, you considered him to be your husband.
Yes, sir.
You met Charlie Adelson at work
Yes, sir.
at a place called SoFi Dental.
Sophie Dental.
Sorry, Sophie Dental.
Yes, sir.
And that was in South Beach.
Yes, sir.
And you started dating in the middle of October of 2013.
In the middle of October? No, we started dating before that.
When did you start dating?
I don't recall the exact date, but it was definitely before October.
If I told you,
September.
do you recall that your first date was at a restaurant kind of in the building?
I believe so, yes.
If I told you that the date of that was October 9th, would that refresh your recollection? Could
Yes,
that be right?
Possibly, yes, sir.
Now, when you dated Charlie Adelson, he treated you well.
Yes, sir.
I think you said you didn't know he had money. You knew he had money.
I mean, he wasn't very flashy with it. I know he was well off.
He took you to nice dinners.
Yes, sir.
That was different than your past relationship, right?
I've been in nice dinners with Sigfredo.
Did Charlie treat you nicer than Sigfredo?
I wouldn't say that he treated me nicer at that time, yes, because I was going through a lot with Sigfredo.
Did Charlie ever lay hands on you?
No, sir.
Did Sigfredo?
We've gotten into arguments, yes.
One where he ripped off your necklace?
No, he's never ripped off any necklace
No?
of mine. No.
Now, at first, Charlie was the pursuer. Is that fair to say? He pursued you.
Yes, sir.
Over time, you became more serious.
I believe so.
And he made it clear to you over time, namely in the spring of 2014, that he didn't want anything different than casual, right?
I mean, I think we were both in agreement with that, yes.
But you had questions about it. You asked him, right?
I believe so.
And he told you, I like the way things are.
Yes, sir.
Now, Sigfredo came to know that you were dating Charlie, correct?
Yes, sir.
And during your second trial, you testified that you told Sigfredo about Charlie to make Sigfredo mad.
Probably.
You wanted to throw it in his face that you were dating a successful dentist, right?
That I was dating somebody, period, because I never really dated anybody after Sigfredo.
Sigfredo hated Charlie.
I mean, yes.
You told Charlie on one occasion, if you see him, run. Isn't that what you told him?
Not that I can recall now.
Is it possible that you told him that?
No, but he would be scared of Sigfredo, yes.
Sigfredo considered you the love of his life, right?
I believe so.
He made it clear to you that he wanted you back and didn't want you to be with Charlie, right?
So that he made it clear, but we were trying to work it out for our family.
Now, Charlie talks a lot, right?
Yes, he does.
And he repeats himself over and over.
Yes, sir.
As a traveling periodontist, he's in the car a lot for work, right?
Yes, sir.
And what does he do when he's in the car a lot? Talks on the phone?
Talk on the phone. Yes, sir.
And he'd call you a lot on the phone, right?
He would at that time. Yes.
And at that time, he would sometimes call you early in the morning, right?
Yes, sir.
He'd call you sometimes in his breaks at work.
Yes, sir.
He'd call you late at night.
Yes, we were dating.
Exactly. He'd talk to you a ton.
Yes, sir.
He talks to his mom a lot on the phone too, right?
I believe so.
Well, you witnessed it, right?
Yes.
You would be with him a lot when he would talk to his mom, right? On the phone.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, you talk on the phone a lot with Sigfredo Garcia, right?
Yes, sir.
And that makes sense because he's the father of your two children, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, in 2014, you became aware of Charlie's family issues, right?
Yes, sir.
You heard him talking on the phone a lot to his mom, right?
Yeah, he's always talking to his mom.
And also when you guys would go out, as you know, Charlie likes to talk, right?
Yes, sir.
And so a topic of frequent conversation would be what he had just talked to his mom about, right?
No, he never told me what he was talking to his mom about.
No, so he never told you about the problems that his sister was having? He wouldn't recount those conversations that he was having with his mom?
Not when he's on the phone with his mom. Maybe if we're just, laying down or talking, he'd mention it once in a blue moon.
And you would ask him questions about it, right?
Not really.
He told you about this TV was cheaper than a hitman joke many times, right?
Yes, he's made that comment before.
And he repeated it to many people, right?
Yes, sir, he has.
He makes a lot of bad jokes, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Okay. So now he's starting to finish.
Did you ever
off
tell
his
him, Charlie, why are you making
cross-explanation,
that joke?
And he
when we're actually
never
hiring a
got
hitman?
back to the things he said.
Like, don't
he
you think
would
that's a
get
bad
back to.
idea? Did you ever say that to him?
That's
No,
bad
because
lawyering.
Feels like he's untouchable.
No, because you really weren't hiring a hitman. He didn't know he was hiring a hitman, right? That's why you didn't tell him that, right?
He knew he was hiring a hitman.
So when he made that joke in front of Professor Lacoste on March 11th at Yardbird,
That he made that joke.
yeah, you know he made the joke at that dinner, right?
I don't recall that. No, sir.
Okay.
Unless I was talking to Wendy and I didn't pay attention to what they were talking about.
Well, let's talk about that dinner a little bit on March 11th, just 6 weeks before the first attempt that in your proffers you didn't know about. You all ate outside on the patio,
Yes, sir.
and during this dinner, you and Wendy talked a lot about your exes, didn't you?
Not that we talked a lot about the exes. I always speak of my children, so I'm pretty sure I mentioned my kids and she mentioned her kids.
You didn't probe information from Wendy about her ex, and that's why you brought up your exes, your ex.
No, sir. We did not talk about any exes.
Were you aware that Sigfredo and Luis Rivera were sitting in a car scoping you out?
I didn't know that until my trial.
Now, the state showed you a picture of you on the beach with Wendy Adelson.
Yes, sir.
No discussion about a murder plot during that.
No.
The jet ski incident, was Charlie scared?
Yes, sir.
Were you upset?
Of course.
Did it cause a whole string of text messages and fights between you and Sigfredo?
After that incident, yes.
You were afraid that Charlie was going to break up with you, right?
Not really.
Really, your text messages don't show that you were upset that Charlie might break up with you, that Sigfredo was trying to run your life?
Well, I was upset, but I didn't really care if Charlie was going to break up with me or not.
Now, I want to take you to the week of the murder, and we'll start with July 14th. You had dinner with Charlie the night of July 14th, right?
Not that I can recall.
Oh, you don't recall having dinner with him the night of July 14th?
No, sir.
Are you sure you didn't have dinner with him the night of July 14th?
I can't recall. If you'd show me something.
Do you recall him working late and coming towards your house and meeting him at a place near the water on July 14th?
No, sir.
Well, let's do it this way. If you had dinner with him on July 14th, just 4 days before the murder,
Yes, sir.
did you pick up money from him at that point in time?
No, sir, because I don't even remember that dinner.
Assuming that the dinner happened,
Yes,
which I
sir.
think the state's going to prove.
Okay.
Did you pick up any money from him at that dinner?
No, sir. I don't even recall that dinner.
Fair enough. Do you recall having lunch with him on July 17th, the day before the murder?
No, sir.
Let me try to refresh your memory on this. Do you recall on July 16th that Charlie worked late and went out to dinner with Erica Johnson?
I can't recall.
Do you recall that you got in a fight with him that night because you thought he might be cheating on you?
No, sir. I don't recall it.
Do you recall that there are text messages in which you were upset that he was out so late? You don't recall that?
No, sir. Do you have something to show me?
I don't need to. Do you recall that he told you on that call that he had worked late, that he had gone out with Erica, and that he would have lunch with you the next day?
he really doesn't want to show what he has.
This is, yeah,
Because those text messages must contain more.
I would
The only
like to
reason
see.
yeah. He's doing a lot of references to things he refuses to show.
And my guess is lady lawyers are going to get up and show all the things that he has alluded to, and Charlie doing something damning in it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there is some kind of motion in place that nobody wants to open the door for. Maybe not the state, maybe neither of them, because it's damning for both.
It
But
could be.
but him just asking questions about it, that opens the door if there is something in it. But it's really annoying because apparently the things, we will get back to those lies, he never got back to them, and now he refuses to show. So she's answering really, really smart, because he makes these claims all the time, but he doesn't show what it is. And
Yeah.
just a few times he actually gave us something to read, and now she specifically said, "Do you have anything to show me?" And his answer is, "I don't need to." And I think the prosecution in their redirect will go hard on that. Do you remember counsel asking you this? Yeah. Do you know why he didn't show you? No, I have no idea. Could it be because there's nothing to show? Very leading, and the defense will object, but then it will be out there. Do you recall him saying he will get back to these lies? Yeah, I remember that. Did he ever get back to what he claimed was lies? No, he did not. Why do you think that is? Because I didn't lie. I mean, this will be really, really, maybe, yeah, maybe she's not that dumb after all. She's not a genius, but she spots a setup.
I don't recall any of those days, sir.
Do you recall that on the call on that night, the evening of the 16th, it's actually the very morning of the 17th, it's after midnight, that you were adamant that you wanted to have dinner with him on the 18th?
Why
No, sir,
is
I
Dave
don't recall
giving me
any of those days, that's
boomer?
why.
You don't remember, that's fine.
Show me.
The answer is you don't remember that, right?
No, I can't recall.
I get to ask the questions,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes.
That's how this works.
Yes, sir.
Now, you went to lunch with him near his house. Do you recall that?
No, sir.
One moment.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall going to Vila's? It's like a Cuban Mexican place right by Charlie's house.
I know of the restaurant, but I don't remember the date when we went, or, we've been there before, yes?
You don't recall going there the day before the murder?
No, sir.
Nonetheless, if you had been there, you didn't collect any money that day, right?
No, sir.
Do you recall that during that lunch, you got in a big fight?
During what lunch?
The lunch on the 17th that you don't remember.
How can I tell you what happened if I don't remember the date and you're not showing me anything?
Let's talk about
Good answer. Oh, she is impeaching the lawyer.
This
This is good. I'm having fun.
oh, he's being pissed off.
Yeah, because this is not something they can show, because when he said one moment, then he went back to Charlie to ask question. Are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah, we had a big fight on that day, on that lunch in that restaurant, and then he goes back. So this is in no, there's no paper. It's Charlie's word.
Yeah.
Oh, bad choice, lawyer. You have lots of impeachment between trials and everything.
Is it true that Charlie Adelson gave you $138,000 the night of the murder, not $100,000?
I never counted the money.
Isn't it true that you were paid $3,000 every month after the murder?
No, sir.
Isn't it true that you told Charlie Adelson that a terrible thing had happened? Your friend got an idea to do this. You didn't know anything about it, but you would help him.
Repeat that question, sir.
Isn't it true that you told Charlie Adelson that a friend of yours had done this, that you had talked too much, but that you would do everything you could to help Charlie Adelson?
No, sir.
Isn't it true that you told him that if he ever went to the police, these people would do to him and his family what they had done to Professor Markel?
No, sir.
If the state proves that for the next 20 months you received payments, does the state have it wrong?
That I received payments?
For the next 20 months after July 18th, if the state proves, they're going to bring up a financial person who's
Yes.
going to show cash payments. When the state proves that,
Yes,
do they have it wrong?
No, because I deposited throughout every month.
The payments that Charlie were making to you?
No, what Sigfredo had given to me.
Is it true that you were the mastermind behind Professor Markel's murder?
No, sir. That was Charlie.
I'm sure it was.
I didn't have any information on Mr. Markel.
Do not volunteer information.
Yes.
Wait for a question, respond accordingly to the question.
But
Sorry, Your Honor.
by the way, on these wires that we're going to hear, you're repeatedly lying to Charlie, right?
Repeatedly lying about what?
Well, you're telling him that you're calling the undercover number, right?
Yes, I like
You never called the undercover number.
No, because I was telling Sigfredo to call that number.
Ma'am, let me ask the questions.
I'm
I know you have an agenda, but let me ask the questions.
Oh.
Objection, move to strike, argument.
Jury to disregard the last comment about any agendas. Please continue.
On those wires, you tell Charlie Adelson that you've called the undercover number, don't you?
Yes, I said that.
And you never called the undercover number.
Of course. Why would I call it?
You tell Charlie Adelson that you tried to call the number, but it's a non-working number. Do you recall saying that?
I believe so. Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yes, we were all lying to each other.
You call, Judge,
He was responding to your question. You don't have to like the answer.
I actually love it.
What is this guy's attitude? Does he not,
Yeah.
has he never been in a courtroom? What the hell is wrong
Yeah.
with this man? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I
He
like
is
this,
just,
Judge. That's somebody clip that. You
Oh,
can
yes,
ask the
please.
question. You can't select the answers. Oh, I need to hear that again.
mean,
I need to hear that in normal speed.
I need to hear that on a loop. He does have a
Normal
sadly
speed.
douchey face. He has resting douche face. I'm sorry.
Yes, I said that.
And you never called the undercover number.
Of course. Why would I call it?
You tell Charlie Adelson that you tried to call the number, but it's a non-working number. Do you recall saying that?
I believe so. Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yes, we were all lying to each other.
You call, Judge,
He was responding to your
There's
question.
no CC
You don't have to like the
live.
answer.
You can't.
I actually love it. You never lied to Sigfredo on those wires, did you?
Yes, I did.
When did you lie to Sigfredo on those wires?
Well, he was lying to me, actually.
I asked a different question. When did you lie to Sigfredo on those wires?
No.
Give me one example of lying to Sigfredo.
You're right. I'm stating that Sigfredo was lying to me.
Miss Magbanua, I'm going to ask the question one more time.
No, I didn't lie to Sigfredo.
You never once lied to Sigfredo Garcia on those wires,
Not that I can recall, no.
but you repeatedly lied to Charlie Adelson on those wires, didn't you?
Yes, sir, I
Poor
did.
Charlie.
By the way, you and Sigfredo Garcia talked about how you needed to get a burner phone, right?
No, Sigfredo was the one who got the burner phones.
Okay. You and Sigfredo got burner phones, right?
Sigfredo bought the burner phones. Yes.
And you used a burner phone, right?
Yes, he advised me to do so.
Did you ever talk to Charlie Adelson about getting a burner phone?
I wasn't aware, but I thought he had one.
And we know he has one.
You told Charlie Adelson that Sigfredo Garcia left a voicemail for the undercover. You recall telling him that?
I believe so, yeah.
That was a lie, right?
I believe Sigfredo did leave a voicemail to the undercover.
You think he did, or you think they just heard about the voicemail, that he actually never called the undercover?
If he said he did, he probably did.
Now, shortly after the murder, you and Charlie break up, right?
Yes, sir.
Like immediately after.
I don't know if it's immediately after, but we stopped, hanging out as much.
Not officially. They have made state has
Now,
made
you
no
keep
promises.
on saying that the state hasn't promised you anything, right?
Yes, sir.
But you're hoping that they're going to help you, right?
Of course, I want to see my children again.
Redirect examination.
That was
I'm confused.
Again.
He never made her the mastermind. He never got to the extortion. I don't.
No, I mean, and remember again, the things he said he would get back to never happened. That's bad lawyering. If you repeat it, the jury will pick up on it. Why doesn't he get back to it? Why doesn't he get back to it? He never got back to it. That's a cheap trick. I hope the state will. I really hope they will. Hey, Ghoster is here. Hello, Ghoster.
I'll approach you with the text message exhibit that defense showed you. Maybe I misunderstood, but is this text showing that the defendant found out about Sigfredo in November, or that Sigfredo found out about the defendant in November?
From the text messages, it's that Sigfredo found out about Charlie.
All right.
So, yeah.
The job in this case, there's some question about, is it to harm, is it to rough up, is it to kill? What was the job?
It was the kill.
And you knew it was to kill?
Those exact words weren't mentioned, but
Did you
yes.
know that this was going to result in a death,
Yes, ma'am.
not a roughing up?
Yes.
And I know you don't, do you know precisely when you found out it was going to be a death?
No, ma'am.
But can you tell the jury it was definitely before the murder?
Before July.
And did Charlie Adelson know it was a murder?
Yes, ma'am. He did.
Did Sigfredo Garcia know it was a murder?
Yes, ma'am. He did.
No further questions.
Oh, I wanted her to go into more of that, but I think she goes for that the defense didn't get much out of it would be enough. She just pointed out that one thing. Defense got this seriously wrong. It wasn't about Charlie finding out about Sigfredo. It was when Sigfredo found out about Charlie. Yeah, good reader. I mean, short, concise, let's leave it.
I mean, I
Just
don't
that
think
one
that
inconsistency. And
I don't think the defense got.
they were trying to get to her and didn't. She was calm and collected the entire time. And she did something amazing, asking for receipts, and there was none given. Can you show me something? I don't have to. I don't need to. And yeah, all right. That was Katie, or Titties. Yeah, Charlie, you need to nail your testimony, because now you have to.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to bring in the
And we still haven't
extortion.
heard the actual recordings. Yeah, and we still haven't heard the recordings yet. The prosecution is really saving up the recordings for. That's their probably one of the last things they will ever play. Yeah.
Will witness be recalled at any point?
She could be judged on as she remained in the room.
Very well. Please approach.
All right. Oh, I want to hear. I kind of, as they did, as many people have done with the once the transcripts are out, doing of sidebars, do a reading of the approach. What is actually being said there? I want to know. Anybody else wants to know? I want to know.
Yes.
Oh, what happened? Oh, they're on break. Okay, what do you say so far?
Well, From the beginning, I have not liked the defense attorney's style, but I'm not a directly confrontational person, so it's just not my style in general. Um, but he uses it as his baseline, and I don't like that. I could see once she was starting to use her kind of "I don't remember" tactic, I could see him start to get snarky
Mm.
there, but he just starts baseline
Yeah.
just beyond snarktastic, but he didn't get to the part where you were using this man. You and Sigfredo and, Garcia came up with this plot to, use this man to get this money. And if
Yeah.
this isn't the witness you get that information in, then it's only I would assume it would be Charlie would be the other witness you get that in. I don't She would seem like the perfect witness you start laying this groundwork for this story,
Mm.
that you're trying to build. And he didn't do that. He focused on her lying, which, I mean, yes, she's a prison snitch. She's coming in as an accessory who lied to try to save her own booty. I think we baseline understand that she lied. I don't understand why he focused so much on that versus, trying to get the new alternate theory out. But that's just me. I could be wrong.
It will be interesting the rest of this trial.
Because I don't know who they're gonna bring in next. I thought she was kinda like their star witness gal.
Yeah, I mean, they have the recordings. They might call the FBI, a cop or two. And for the defense, they only have Charlie. So the rest of the day, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I have no idea who they are supposed to be calling, because the defense is doing a bit more damage, but you don't know how a jury thinks. That's the crux here.
Well, yeah, I don't know how the jury is taking this. I don't know if the jury is expecting the
Mm.
extortion to come through on the defense end. But again, you are if you to my thinking,
Mm.
if I'm on the jury and you are going to it's like the ancient alien things. I always go back to that. If you're going to make an extraordinary claim like that, I
Mm.
want you to have all your evidence and have it laid out logically
Mm.
so I can make that leap.
Yeah.
It's like the Delphi thing. When I first heard about Odinism, I was like, "Oh my god, man, bear, pig. All right." But they
Mm.
had, receipts like the discovery and things like that. If you are going to make an extraordinary claim like this as a lawyer, I want you to have all the receipts. He
Yeah.
came in there and kinda just threw spaghetti at the wall and was like,
Yeah.
"Make it stick, make it stick." And she was kinda
Yeah.
throwing spaghetti back, and it was a bunch of spaghetti.
Mm. Yeah, because he was intentionally vague to get her confused, and then bang, and then confuse, bang, confuse, bang, and she wasn't biting it. Yeah, she did better on cross than on direct, in my opinion. But
Well, she has this
she's convicted of murder and everything.
Yeah, and she
So
has this tactic where she, suddenly doesn't remember what words mean, and it can be quite frustrating.
yeah,
So she did play him, and I liked that because you could tell that it really
yeah.
bothered him.
And it seems like she has some experience in baiting men.
I can't imagine her? Yeah, no, she just needs to maybe not get any male
Mm,
pen pals.
mm.
Salbert, if you find her, do not send her money. But I
Mm,
thought when she got to her reasoning about why she didn't take the deal, that seemed
yeah,
authentic.
yeah.
Now, when she started playing the word games, I think, that got a little tedious, but her initial if I were a juror, I would have noted that down as that seemed authentic.
Yeah.
And when she talked
Yeah.
about what Charlie and the moldy money, that
Mm.
seemed authentic.
Yeah.
Other things
And
I would have discarded.
yeah. And it doesn't have to make sense for us, her doing it. It just has to make sense for her.
Yeah, and if the father of her child was facing the death penalty, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it made sense for her to not, talk.
Mm.
I don't know.
Mm.
It makes no sense to me, but I have a
Yeah.
great deal of self-preservation. And
Yeah. Yeah.
look, I would turn on any one of you guys to go see my kids. No offense to any one of you guys, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
to see my children. But it's also dangerous to, go against a
Mm.
Latin king, and I think she should have pointed that out too.
Yeah, that too, because if she, in the first and second trial, had decided to snitch against everybody, yeah, especially before the first trial, because before the first trial, all they had was the Latin king. If she decided
Yeah.
to snitch him out, his deal would have been out the window, because
Yeah.
then they could give that to her instead, because he was already in
Well,
prison.
yeah, and the fact is that even that Latin king made it very clear that this was not a part of anything affiliated with that gang. I mean, he
Mm.
was very clear, like, this has no, bearing on what I was doing there.
Mm.
So,
They should. Oh, they should be at lunch now, by the way.
uh-huh.
I don't I mean, what time is it?
It's 11:50.
Yeah, that should speak. Didn't they have a morning break? Jesus Christ. Did they skip
I don't
that? I
know.
don't remember.
I
I
didn't
don't remember.
so I came in and they haven't had a break since I came in, and I came in about 9-ish, so
Yeah. Huh. So they pushed through. All right. Well, what to do with this time? What is it time for? What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? It is. It's grifting time. Yes, me and Mo, we are spending hours and hours and hours entertaining you, bringing commentary and everything. So please consider becoming a subscriber. And if that's okay, maybe become a member on YouTube. There's members only content in abundance on my account, because I'm told of all the law tubers, I produce the absolute most members only content, and that is for $3 a month. And that the members, it is what keeps all the costs. So please consider doing the members or gifting a membership to somebody to someone who you think, hey, Nick needs more, and I have $3 to spare. And then when you're done with that, you over at Rumble, you can have a subscription. You can subscribe. It's called over there. That is $5 a month, because I don't know how to change it. It's $5 a month is the standard fee there of some sorts. Or you can Rumble rant me for $1, I think is the thingy there. And the occasional
I
super
will
chat here on. I don't mind. I don't mind at all, because everything that goes into the channel gets to develop the channel. And once you're done with me, Mo, grift.
Yes, I am going to be doing my first members only video probably either today or tomorrow. You get to see my lovely laundry station where I run off to when I go off screen, usually, to go do my glamorous laundry. And then shenanigans are afoot in the Delphi case, so I will give you all the updated knowledge that has. I know it's a few days past, but I wanted to see where all the dust settled because there are still things happening and unhappening and rehappening and God knows what.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is all the things happening. I don't know where things stand right now because it's not defense attorneys are in uproar, let's just say. It is
Yeah.
ugly.
It
So I
is
will be
ugly.
making a video about that
Mm.
and then hopefully upgrading a bit on Newsy News. I am trying again at the speed of government, so Swedish government and and Iceland when women are all on strike government, learning OBS. So I should be actually able to do like a real newsroom where they put the little doodad in the side and then I can, in theory, all of this is
Mm.
happening.
Yeah.
At the speed of Mo learning technology. So, you know,
Mm.
it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. And you can also be a proud owner of You Can't Unfuck a Clusterfuck. You do that on my Teespring thingy.
You know, that's
And
the first mean comment I got on one of my videos. And it said something to the effect of all the words on the English language, you picked those words. And I always used to put a cursey mug up or something, and I thought, I'm getting yelled at for not even my own mugs. Like, what the actual heck? I was
yeah.
like, first, A, ma'am, it's not even my mug, and B, ma'am, you can't. You know you can't.
Yeah. And you can, yeah. And if you want to show off being a part of the Viking crew, you can have a mug, Viking saying hi, a mug, You Can't Unfuck a Clusterfuck. Or I'm a Swedish redneck. I love me a tank top on a woman. It looks good.
You know, it's only 30
I
degrees
liked it.
here. I might get one.
Yeah, I likes it. Oh, here's Charlie again. Maybe this was okay. That means that the grifting time is over. So thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Peter. Ta-da! Thank you, Peace
Woohoo!
Peony, for your $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Grifting time is grifting time. Yeah, I do this once in a while in my stream because I'm so bad at it, at grifting. I mean, I look at Jeff and these bigger channels, how they do, and they do it so effortlessly, and money keeps pouring in. And I'm like Elaine. I'm trying.
Your Honor, we're trying. We don't like a lawyer trying to find the microphone. We're working on it. It's, you know.
Oh. Okay, financials, lady. Okay, yeah, they have to say that. Look at all the money that Charlie gave them. Hey, Sonny. So that it's not a lunch break, huh? Just a break. All right.
Man, when the jurors.
Thank you, Sonny. Yeah, Sonny is in the courtroom, so she writes from there. And during lunch break, hopefully, Sonny can, as she did Thursday and Friday, she enters the stream and tells us what she knows, what she seen, and stuff like that. So yes, we have a court
It's
reporter.
127.
Woman with glasses. Yes, that's financial. Did I swear her in without... What's her face? I don't know her name. Everybody's dressed in black. Dun 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 dun. I hope she's not an Adelson. Oh, Murphy Brown. Yeah, Murphy Brown vibes. Yeah, maybe.
Not so much Annie Hall, but definitely Murphy
Mm.
Brown.
Yeah, maybe. Bonnie G is just starting the Katie testimony. Yeah. Good luck, Money.
Yeah, it's actually pretty well. She's not crossing right now. I think when she gets to the defense's case and she's crossing, I think we'll get full on Murphy Brown.
Yeah. Oh, once she gets to cross Charlie, that will be amazing.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have popcorn. Please don't let it be Monday. For the love of all
Oh.
that's holy.
This lady worked for the Adelsons in a financial capacity for decades.
Oh wow.
Oh. Don't piss off your accountant. Never piss off your accountant or ask of your accountant to do shady stuff. They can
Yeah.
wreck you from now to kingdom come. That's a general advice, not a legal advice. I can't give legal advice. That would be illegal. Or unethical, or, well. Yes, as Adam, help a guy out who gives you content. Now, I know all of these you can watch on Law and C-Word or Tallahassee Democrat, but they are showing it without context, without commentary. They just show the trial, which they are perfectly fine in doing. Lots of people prefer that way, but some of you prefer with commentary, and some of you prefer it with me and Mo. And you are the smart ones. Disclaimer incoming to please the US Swede over. Yeah, Swedish government, I do not give legal advice. I do not.
And I just said generally as a helpful life tack, don't screw your accountant. They will screw your life back. Not legal advice.
Yeah.
This is why I'm not a lawyer. Because I'd have repeat clients and it'd be like, why do you still do dumb stuff?
Yeah, any advice, I'd make up your own damn minds. Don't rely out of anything I say or do. Make up your own minds.
Everyone but the witness may be seated. Please raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Will you tell us your name and spell it for our court reporter, please?
Clariza, Clariza Libretto, Lebredo.
And did you work at the Adelson Institute for a number of years?
Yes,
About how many years did you work there?
almost 40 years.
Okay. And was the Adelson Institute sold about 2 years ago to another dental practice?
Yes,
And do you still work at that dental practice
Yes.
that they were sold to?
yes.
Oh.
All right. Where was the Adelson
Her
Institute
obligations against
located?
Adelsons is
In
gone.
Tamarack,
Tamarack. About how far is that from Miami?
about 30 miles.
Oh,
And
he
is the
looks
exact
paler than
address
usual.
7737 University Drive in Tamarack?
Yes,
All right. The Adelson Institute's a dental office, right?
Dental office, yes.
Okay. The questions I'm going to ask you about the Adelson Institute are about the years from 2013 to 2016. Okay.
Okay.
What was your position at the Adelson Institute during that time?
Dental assistant?
Okay. And did you ever work the front desk?
No.
Dental assistant. Okay, so not
And
financial.
do you know Dr. Harvey Adelson?
Yes.
And did you know his wife, Donna Adelson?
Yes.
Did both of them work there during 2013 to 2016?
Yes.
Okay. And what was Dr. Harvey Adelson's job at the Adelson Institute?
He was the dentist.
Okay. And was there another dentist that worked there as well?
Charlie worked there too.
Okay. Charlie Adelson?
Yes, Charlie Adelson.
All right. And what was Donna Adelson's role at the Adelson Institute?
Donna was our office manager.
Okay. And how long have you known the Adelson family?
40 years, over 40 years.
So ever since you began working there? It was Adelson Institute even back then?
The name changed, but it was always a dental practice.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you've known their family for 40 years?
Yes.
All right. In addition to Harvey Adelson, Donna Adelson, and Charlie Adelson, back from 2013 to 2016, I want to ask you about the other people that worked there. What about Erica Johnson? Did she work there during those years?
Yes.
And what was her role there?
She was front desk and she was Charlie's assistant.
Okay. And was there also a hygienist?
Yes.
And was her name Amy?
Yes.
Okay. And was that all of the office staff?
Yes.
Okay, so Donna Adelson, Harvey Adelson, Charlie Adelson, you, Erica Johnson, and Amy the hygienist.
Correct.
Those were the employees of the Adelson Institute during those years?
Yes.
What were the Adelson Institute business hours during that time?
9 to 5, and we had a late night.
Okay, was it 9 to 5 only 3 days a week?
Yes.
Was that Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday were the 9 to 5 hours?
Yes.
Was Wednesday the late night hour?
Late night was Wednesday, 11 to 7.
11 to 7, okay. I guess to try to accommodate the people that had a hard time coming during regular business hours.
Right, yes.
All right. And did the doctors routinely see patients on Fridays or on the weekends?
Emergencies only.
Okay. So that wasn't a routine thing for them to
No.
do. And Adelson Institute did not have operating hours on Friday or the weekends, correct?
No.
Now, back
So
during
when
those years,
did
if
he
a patient
work all
called
those late
Adelson Institute on a
days?
Friday or
And
on
what
a
did he do?
weekend, would it be routed to voicemail?
Did he go to the gym?
Yes.
Selling steroids,
And
allegedly.
When y'all came in on Monday morning, would somebody check that
Or
answering
cash.
machine to return the calls of patients?
Yes.
That is stapled together.
Who had access to employee records?
The Adelsons.
Okay, so that's not something you would have access
No.
to.
No.
And when you say the Adelsons, you mean the Adelsons that work
Donna and
there?
Dr. Adelson.
Okay, thank you. Do you remember 2 law enforcement officers coming to Adelson Institute back on June 1st of 2016 at about 11 a.m.?
Yes.
And did they ask you if you were familiar with an employee named Catherine Magbanua?
Yes.
Are you familiar with an employee named Catherine? I'm sorry, with a person named Catherine Magbanua?
Yes.
Okay, and how do you know Catherine Magbanua?
From the office.
Okay, from being a patient at the office or being an employee at the office?
No, a patient.
Patient. And about how many times did you see her there as a patient?
I believe 2 or 3 times.
Okay. Did you provide testimony in another proceeding for a co-defendant's case back in May of 2022? Did you provide testimony in another proceeding in a co-defendant's case back in May of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to show you your prior testimony. I'm looking at page 1226, lines 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's been quite a while. Looking at those lines, when you were asked how many times had she been a patient, did you say once?
I said once that day, yes.
In your 40 years with the Adelson Institute, had you ever seen Catherine Magbanua at Adelson Institute as anything other than a patient?
No.
When investigators asked you about Catherine Magbanua that day, if you were familiar with her as being an employee there, and you said no, who did you refer them to? Which employee at Adelson
Erica.
Institute? Erica? Okay. And Erica was kind of working front desk at that time?
Yes.
All right. And then from there on, Erica spoke to the investigators?
Yes.
How did you get paid by Adelson Institute?
With checks.
And about how often would you get checks from them?
Every 2 weeks.
Had you ever been paid for weeks of work prior to completing your work there?
Yes.
When that would happen, would it be because the Adelson family was going out of town or going on a vacation for a couple of
Right.
weeks?
They
at
were
a
going
time?
away. They were going on vacation, so we got paid before.
About how often would that happen?
Maybe once or twice a year.
Okay, so just once or twice a year. And when that would happen, how many paychecks would you get at one time?
2.
2. All right. Would you ever get 4, 5, 6 paychecks in a row?
No.
Have you ever been aware of any Adelson Institute employee in the history of your employment there that has worked exclusively by phone or remotely?
No.
Did the Adelson Institute have a cleaning service at that time?
Yes.
And was it a husband and wife team?
Yes.
And have you seen those people before?
Yes.
Okay.
I know who they are. I knew
know-
who they were. Yes.
Was Catherine Magbanua part of that team?
No.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
No questions, Your Honor.
The witness may step down. Will she be recalled at any point?
No, sir.
Have a good day, ma'am.
They called Erica Johnson.
Oh, these employees, I mean, they have no interest in getting cross-examinations. That is why I think, and why it has been suggested that this trial will be over by Thursday.
Yeah, I don't see this taking super long if they're not going to fight. This isn't.
Yeah, I mean, the murders already played out. It happened. It's just how much was Charlie involved. So the facts in the murders and there's nothing for them to cross on. So boom, 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 boom. In and out. Same with Erica. Just a few questions to get it into evidence, and then she is not taking any
Please
crap.
raise
this
your right hand,
witness.
ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly.
Good morning. Will you introduce yourself and spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Erica Johnson, ErikaJohnson.
Oh,
Okay, and did you work at the Adelson Institute for a number of years?
Yes,
For about how long?
about 11 years.
And were you
Okay.
employed there from
Nicholas, pause. I'm going to
2013 to
make an
2016
inappropriate
during those
comment.
years?
What?
That's your dental. I'm going to make an inappropriate comment, but since I'm a girl and I have some, I can say it. But imagine those chesticles in your face while you're trying to get a dental cleaning,
Yes,
because
please.
that's all Now I can see why. Now I can see why the Dental Institute was so popular.
Open
All I
wide.
can- I mean, it's always uncomfortable when they're trying to talk to you and you got like, and they're trying to like ask you,
Mhm.
like, how's your week been
Mhm.
going? You're like, I'm trying to
Mhm.
not talk to you because those things make that noise
Mhm.
and it hurts my soul. It's like the screaming of 1,000 tortured souls, and I don't understand how you can do this. And you're trying to talk to me, and I'm trying not to look at your nose hairs, and I thought we had a mutual agreement that I wouldn't blurt out anything about your nose hairs if you didn't ask me questions. And yet you continue. But yeah,
Yeah.
just big old boobs just in your now I can okay, never mind. My inappropriate questions are done. But there you are.
Yep. Short answer. Yep.
Yes.
Nicholas
And
is
what
like
was your job there at that
making my
time?
appointment.
Front desk.
Need a dental
Okay,
cleaning.
were you also kind of worked as an assistant to Charlie Adelson and the front desk?
Yes.
What were your tasks at the front desk?
Making appointments, collecting payments.
All right. Were you the primary person who did that
Also,
for Adelson
Charlie, please
Institute?
stop smiling.
Yes.
It is so creepy.
Yeah.
Did Adelson Institute often deal in cash for their services?
Sometimes.
Would sometimes they offer cash discounts for their dental work?
Yes.
Back during the time period of 2013 to 2016, did Clarissa Libredo, Harvey Adelson, Charlie Adelson, Donna Adelson, and Amy the hygienist, were those the other employees of Adelson Institute besides yourself?
Yes.
And were the Adelson Institute business hours Monday through Thursday, kind of regular work hours, 9 to 5, and then on Wednesdays would be a late day from 11 to 7?
Yes.
And those were the operating hours Monday through Thursday of the Adelson Institute?
Yes.
So back in 2014 to 2016, if a patient called the office and it was closed, would a voicemail that were a call, would it go to a voicemail machine?
Yes.
And would you be responsible for checking that message when you arrived on Monday morning?
Yes.
All right, I want to talk to you about an incident back in on June 1st of 2016 at about 11 a.m. Do you remember 2 law enforcement officers coming to Adelson Institute?
Yes.
And did they ask you about Catherine Magbanua?
Yes.
Were they asking you whether or not Catherine Magbanua worked at Adelson Institute?
Yes.
And did they ask you for employee records related to Catherine Magbanua?
Yes.
Now, did you have access to her employee records there?
No.
Who at the Adelson Institute had access to employee records?
The owners of the business.
So the Adelsons. Okay. Meaning Donna, Harvey, or Charlie?
Correct.
When police asked you for the records, did you call Donna Adelson
No.
or Harvey Adelson?
No.
Did you call Charlie Adelson?
Yes.
Okay. And when you called Charlie Adelson to let him know that law enforcement was there and what they were asking about, did you step away from them a little bit to the back of the office to make that call?
Yes.
Now, at the time, did you know that the call was being recorded?
No.
Have you had an opportunity to listen to that call in prior proceedings and also before court today?
Yes.
And was it your and Charlie Adelson's voices in that call?
Yes.
From your memory, is it an accurate recording of that conversation that day?
Yes.
This time I moved States 106, the call that Erica Johnson made to Charlie Adelson, into evidence.
Any objection? No objection. States 106 is admitted.
Permission to publish?
You may.
He's working with what he has, Sonny. I mean,
Hey, what's going on? Hey, the FBI is here asking for records for Katie.
For what?
That she works here.
I would, I wouldn't give anything.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
the ex, did she work there? I was like, yeah, she works there, but I don't know what you want. Because remember we sent that.
Erica,
Yeah.
do me a favor. I'm not there right now, and I'm in surgery, but it's not my office. It's my dad's office, so I can't give anything out.
Right.
So, I don't have access to it. I don't know where anything is.
Okay.
So you don't have access to anything.
And you
So
don't know I don't know where anything is either.
yeah. So I would do this. I would not. I would not speak to anybody. You can do whatever you want, but I don't. It's my dad's office.
Yeah.
So I don't have access to any of that stuff.
Okay.
So they can talk to my dad, and I'm sure they'll be able to get whatever they want from them.
Okay, understandable.
So if I had it, listen, you can talk to whoever you want. I shouldn't say don't talk to anybody.
No, I'm going to do whatever you tell me.
Yeah, no. I'm not. I shouldn't say don't talk to anyone. Talk to whoever on the planet you want to talk to. But it's not my office, and it's not your office.
Right.
So you don't have records to give them, and I don't have records to give them. So I'm sure they'll be able to help them out in any way they can.
Okay. So that's what I'll tell them.
Tell them that it's not. It's not my office. The office was sold back to my dad actually a long time ago. So tell them that you will. So it's actually you're talking to the wrong Dr. Adelson.
Right.
So what you need to do is tell them that you will get in contact. Tell them. It's not your office. You can't get out records.
They said within 20 days of accordance with Florida statutes, provide above cause with reason.
Are they there now, or do they just stand?
They're there, but I'm in the back. They're just waiting for me to come back.
Oh, and they want records?
Yeah.
Do me a favor. I'm going to call you from a landline on your cell phone, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
Patient just under anesthesia, maybe not breathing, whatever.
We heard you say at the beginning of the call, you're referencing Katie. When you said Katie, were you talking about Catherine Magbanua?
Yes.
And how did you know Catherine Magbanua?
She was a patient at the office and his girlfriend.
Okay. A patient at Adelson Institute and Charlie Adelson's girlfriend?
Yes.
Had you ever seen Catherine Magbanua work at Adelson Institute?
No.
Did Adelson Institute have a cleaning service that came?
Yes.
And was it a husband and wife team that cleaned the office?
Yes.
And was Catherine Magbanua part of that husband and wife team?
No.
Were you on yearly salary or paid by the hour at Adelson Institute?
Hourly.
And would you get paid every 2 weeks?
Yes.
At that time, were your checks around $589 every 2 weeks for about 28 hours a week?
Yes.
Would you ever get paid for weeks of work in advance?
Yes.
And when would that occur? What was going on for that to occur?
They would go on vacation.
Okay. And when that would happen, when they would go on vacation, would you sometimes get 2 checks at a time?
Yes.
Would you ever get 4, 5, 6 checks at a time?
Not that I can remember.
Were you aware of any Charlie Adelson's girlfriends being?
Sonny didn't care about Charlie's abilities as a dentist. He didn't care about the patients in the chair during all this. Patient complained on Yelp, and they got mad and defensive. Yeah, I can understand why they eventually sold the practice, because if you get bad reviews, Yeah. Yeah. Then they might have needed money for this. Yeah, interesting.
On the payroll at Adelson Institute?
No.
Was Donna Adelson the person that took care of payroll?
Yes.
Had you ever been aware of any employee in the history of Adelson Institute that worked exclusively by phone or remotely?
No.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Very, very briefly. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
At the time of that call, Charlie Adelson didn't own the office, correct?
Correct.
And the reason why you called him is because his parents, Harvey and Donna were out of town, right?
Yes.
The reason why you went to the back of the office when they came is because there were patients in the office, right?
Correct.
And you were nervous about this all going on with patients in the office, right?
Absolutely.
And Charlie, when he called you back, that was his big concern, right? The patients
Yes.
being in the office, right? When he called you back, was there anything crazy that he told you?
Nothing.
Now, there's been talk about this answering machine. It was like an old-fashioned type of answering machine, right?
The other ones, a voicemail, yes.
And on the answering machine, Harvey Adelson would give his name and cell phone number for an emergency, right?
Correct.
By the way, Charlie Adelson, he only worked at the Adelson Institute maybe 2 times a month, right?
Yes.
And when he would work there, he'd work mostly with you, right?
Yes.
You liked working with him, right?
Loved.
And
Will these
you'd
guys
work late
ever
at night.
take lunch?
Yes.
And sometimes you'd go out to dinner late at night after, right?
Yes.
By the way, you say you loved working with Charlie Adelson. Did you continue to work with him after the allegations in this case?
Yes.
Did you ever worry about working with him?
No.
Stay. You disregard the last answer to that question. Please move on.
You continued to work with him until he got arrested, correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect examination.
So at one point, Adelson Institute was sold to Charlie Adelson and then sold back to Harvey Adelson, right?
I think so.
But Charlie Adelson still worked as a dentist there, right?
Yes.
At his family's dental practice.
Yes.
And he also worked as a traveling periodontist, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just a second. Do you remember previously saying that you didn't remember what happened when he called you back on the landline?
I don't remember.
Okay. That's all.
Break till 1:45.
Will Ms.
Okay.
Johnson be recalled at any point, or is she released?
I know she can be released. Thank you.
She can be released, Your Honor.
Have a good day. Members of the jury, we're going to take our lunch break at this point. Once again, I'm going to remind you of the thing that I always do. Do not discuss the case with each other or anyone else. Do not watch any news coverage. Do not seek out any information concerning this matter. We are going to resume with the trial at 1:45. Please report back by 1:30.
Long lunch. Yeah, that's a long lunch. But I didn't see them take any morning breaks, so that might be why they're having an extended lunch. Dennis Heaton, does Sunny have a PayPal or Cash App or anything so we can help her with lunch? I don't know. We can ask
We
Sunny.
can ask her if she can get on when they get on lunch. We can definitely ask because that's a very nice thing to do. Sitting here with my heating pad because Greta Thunberg lied about there being global warming. I mean, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah. Sunny might show up. She has the link here, so she can talk about her experience in the courtroom. I will ask her.
Oh.
Ah. Dun, dun, dun.
It is 40 degrees, but we're supposed to get snow and stuff. So it'll be another Halloween where the kids in my neck of the woods have to wear, winter coats and turtlenecks and basically just masks.
Oh. Well, they can have. Everybody's dressed in balaclavas. Everybody's a robber.
Everyone's a robbler. It's just how it is.
Yeah, we are
And if
expecting a storm today or later today here in Sweden, but a bit up north, with up to a foot and a half of snow.
Well, we're only
But
supposed to get
you,
flurries.
yeah.
So milk, eggs, and bread will be completely out of the store. All Mountain Dews and cheese curls too, because it is the Midwest. But Mr. Mo says I get to turn on the fireplaces, which was really important.
Aw, cozy, and the youngest one will not grab sticks and throw it around.
We can only hope, but let's be honest. He, learning from experience isn't his strong suit. So
Yeah, up north where we have the family cabin, they're expecting a foot and a half of snow. But in Sweden, that's winter. The meteorologists are, yeah, this is going to happen, and then politicians say, "Ooh, orange warning." And for us who grew up with that crap, winter. I mean, it's end of October.
yeah, I mean
Snow.
it's completely
I mean,
normy.
I
It's
know in
normal.
yeah, I mean in the major cities, I mean they get surprised every year that we have winter in a country where a quarter of our country is above the Arctic Circle. And yet in the main cities, what? Winter this year as well?
It does seem to shock us every time. Like we live in a seasonal country. What?
Yeah. Weird.
Temperate weather?
Goes through. It's a sweltering 17 degrees. Okay, that's a bit of cold.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but I prefer cold and snow before, I mean, just over freezing and mixed rain and snow. I mean,
oh
yeah,
yeah, no.
yeah, because you can dress against cold. You can't dress much against wet, damp cold.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, yeah, this in the south of Sweden and Denmark and stuff like that. Some trains can't go because there are falling leaves on the tracks.
Oh, well, of course they can't. I mean,
Yeah.
how because trees haven't been around for a long time.
Yeah, but it's much cheaper to buy trains from Italy, from that company who does not manufacture cold country trains, but they are cheaper. Yes, of course they are cheaper because they're not adapted to cold.
Well, that's like Texas didn't spend the extra 10% to get their wind turbines winterized. And then, oh no, freak, incident, and Ted Cruz
Mm.
had a mullet for some reason. And oh,
I mean,
just for
and there's a famous picture of a frozen down wind turbine where there's a truck, a gasoline truck, and then you see them spraying it with fire to get it thawed out. Yeah, good for you.
it's not like again,
Mm.
it's government. We always assume that I the great optimist in me always hoped that the secret cabal of lizard people were smart But no, they seem to be just as smart as the rest of them.
Yeah,
So,
if they can save a buck, they will save a buck. But then all of a sudden, oh, we have to close down the train system because there's leaves.
who could have foreseen this?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's uncanny. And it's been so for decades. Every time, okay, let's buy. The trains are now 30 years old. It's time to exchange them. Okay, can we please get trains that are made for winter season as well? No, let's buy them from Italy again. Yes, because
No.
Italian engineering is world famous for, I don't know.
Well, it's I've heard things about Italian engineering, but
Yeah, it's like
generally,
Italian cars that aren't supercars. I mean, Fiat, yeah.
yeah. Well,
Well,
when you
nowadays
drive a
Fiat is
Ford
good, but
Transit,
nowadays they are owned by a German company. So, I think,
yeah, I
yes,
I
some of
don't
that's
know.
good.
I know about as much about cars as I know about sports ball, so
Mm.
we are tapping unplumbed depths of
Yeah, I
knowledge
heard,
there.
yeah, at least you're getting into the winter season. You have hockey coming up and stuff like that, where you can actually, okay, you use a hockey puck, not a hand egg. And
I just call it soccer hooligans on ice.
well, at least it gets a bit exciting when they start to fight once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to get to see if
I think we should put the Dave signal up and see if he's got crossover information from his trial, the Visine, and see if we've got.
Mhm. Yeah,
'Cause I'm
Swedish.
still trying to.
Our Swedish engineering is moose-proof because we have actual testing against how do your car react when crashing against a 2,500 pound 7-foot tall animal with sharp edges on their head.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
still
like
waiting
moose.
for answers from Sunny if she will join us because I got a heap of emails that I have to get through. So I'm turning over to Mo. If you have you set up something?
Well, I
So I
am
can
looking for
redirect.
something.
So I can
I
redirect.
am looking for something. I have not really anything, but we can talk. I am always good for talking. I have stories out the yang, and we have news as per usual, but I can put something up. And let me get something started here. Do you want me to start a new stream with this or?
Yes, if you could start a new stream and then I will send everybody over to you and redirect the rumbles to you as well because the here I still work and sometimes
Sounds
things
good.
show
I
up
can
that
go until 2 and then I have.
yeah, but then
And
I
this is
can do the rest tomorrow. I can open half an hour early and do the rest tomorrow.
And today is day 3, correct?
Today is day 3, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because you know me, I pay attention all the times. As per usual.
And I sent in private chat, you have the Tallahassee Democrat stream of this trial. So
Awesome.
you can
I only
find
have
that.
97 and 33,000 tabs open because of course I do.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I do the same as well.
I'm like, what am I supposed to be paying attention to? I'm glad I have ADHD. It helps a lot. It's like squirrel.
Yeah, Charlie Adelson.
Let me get into
Charlie
my
Adelson
stream and
definitely
I
has
am
this.
Okay, I am live on my stream now, so you can send people over and we will discuss while we are waiting on live chat. We will make fun of people. I mean, we will be adults and professional and talk about the case as per usual.
Yeah, okay. I have set up the redirect. Yeah, sorry folks, but this is good opportunity for all of you to go to Mo and subscribe to Mo and do all the
the
buy
YouTube
her
things.
thing is do all the YouTube things. Okay, I will end this stream and you will all hopefully
Sounds good.
hold on. I get your stream into the chat as well. Oh, Ghost reposted your link. Great. Okay. So it's lunch break and Sunny hasn't arrived yet. I haven't had an answer. Okay, there. Adelson's effing phone. Yeah. And am I coming back after lunch? If I get through all my work, I will join Mo at Mo's place. But
Sounds good.
yeah. And Mo goes as long as she can, but
Yeah.
anything that's left, I will take up tomorrow. I will start my stream a half an hour, 45 minutes earlier tomorrow. But I need to get this work done.
Sounds good. Yep, I will be here. We will look at this, and then I also will be trolling newsy news stuff. So if I see something pop up from news, because I'm always on the news, we have crazy
Post
stuff.
on Rumble? No? Jesus. Share,
So
copy.
let me post on the doodad.
Why can't I? What's going on Rumble? Come on.
I have no idea. It is.
Why can't I post a fucking link on my own fucking Rumble channel?
I don't know, but
share, copy, Rumble, enter, Control V. No. There. Jesus Christ. Oh, Mia and Ghost posted at the same time. All right. I will see everybody over at, or you will see Mo over at the Rumble thingy. All right. And once I get through my workload, I will join her. And if I don't, I will see you all here tomorrow morning. Your time.
Yes.
All right.
All right. So see you guys over there.
Yeah, over there.